Coming Down is proudly sponsored by Colorado Ganja Gear, high-quality, artistically inspired herb grinders. So let me tell you, these things are great. I actually own one. My favorite part is the perfect consistency you get after grinding. Some grinders just pulverize your herb into dust, but the razor-sharp teeth and smooth action on these always leave you with perfect, fluffy, evenly ground herb. The craftsmanship is top-notch, made from aircraft-grade aluminum, to guarantee you won't get metal shavings mixed into your herb. But the best part, truly, is each grinder features original artwork created by Colorado artist Lori Beatty. She creates unique mandalas that are laser-etched into each magnetic lid. And each grinder comes in a silk bag and has free shipping. So just go to etsy.com/shop/Colorado Ganja Gear and enter the code COMINGDOWN in all caps for $5 off, or go to the show notes for this episode and follow the link. Thanks and enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to Coming Down. My name is Nathan. I am here with Matthew.
Hey everybody.
Well, folks, it's been a better week.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, totally. What have you been up to, man?
Dude, I've just been playing Magic, man. It's been great. Like, not even playing Magic, just like digging through Magic cards and having a good time.
I also have been playing a little Magic. I went and rocked a tournament.
Yeah, you did.
I actually went and traveled for a tournament with some friends and rocked it. Ended up doing pretty well, and it qualified me for another tournament. So,
yeah, bud.
Goal accomplished.
Up top on that one.
Yeah, so that felt good. And then I got to go see Temples this week, which ruled at the Doug Fir.
Hell yeah.
Nothing too much to report. It just ruled, you know?
Yeah, dude.
They just tore it up. They played a lot of the same stuff they played at Desert Days, but they did it different, a few things differently. And yeah, damn, just any band at the Doug Fir.
Yeah, hard to beat a show at the
just
Doug
rules.
Fir.
Yeah. That was a fun old time with some friends. And I've been watching Lock and Key.
Oh, fuck, I forgot that came out.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, fuck.
So for the listener, if you haven't heard of Lock and Key, it's a graphic novel by Stephen King's kid, Joe Hill. And I think it ended like 4 or 5 years ago. And it's a pretty good series. It's like 6 books, or, 6 collected books. I don't know, 30 total or 60 total issues, single issues. I don't know.
Yeah, it's six graphic novels for sure.
Yeah. But Netflix just dropped the first season of a show adaptation. And man, it's pretty solid.
Good.
I am kind of removed from it, which is good, because, you know what? And, I'll just take this opportunity. My friends and several of our listeners have already heard me rant about this, but I'm just going to take this opportunity to just lay this down right here. I am such a fan of not reading the source before the adaptation and doing it the other way. So many times I recommend, or I'll talk to someone at a party or something, and they say oh, that thing's coming out, I need to read the book first. No, you don't. I'm saying you do not.
Exactly.
And in fact, you would do yourself a service to not.
I don't know where that advice came from.
I don't know either, but it's a very common thing that people hold, right?
Well, and I almost feel like it's something that we all heard from our elders when we were young, and we just fucking keep repeating it, even though it's, in my opinion, patently untrue. Every single thing I can think of where I watched the adaptation before I enjoyed the source material, I always enjoyed the adaptation more than I would have if I'd read the source material first.
Exactly. Yeah, if you do the source first, and especially too close together, if you read the source and then watch the adaptation directly after, you're just going to be super judgy the whole time. Exactly. And you're just going to nitpick it, and I think you'll lose sort of some quality of what the adaptation's trying to do, because you'll just sort of be comparing it the whole time, and you won't really get to immerse yourself in that different version.
Truly. And I think one of the biggest complaints that I've heard from people who are proponents of the source material before the adaptation is that they say that they feel like their visuals of the world or the characters are somehow skewed by seeing the adaptation first. That has never been a problem for me.
And that's great. And I think that is, that's one downside to doing it that way.
Sure. But I feel like most authors are descriptive enough that if their stuff differs from what the show did, hopefully your mind's eye is going to be able to reflect that.
I agree. When I did Thrones, because I watched the first season, then read the first book,
Hell yeah.
And half the characters I imagined like I saw him in the show.
Sure.
I couldn't kind of get that actor's face out of my mind.
Yeah, Jamie was always Jamie for me in the book.
Yes. And some of those characters did that, but some of them absolutely did not. And some of them, the book took on their own version of themselves.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage was not in that book anywhere for me.
Yeah.
As much as I love Peter Dinklage, I just felt like Martin's description of the imp was completely different from his character.
Yep. Yeah. That character, Arya, came off very different. Brienne came off very different.
Same.
Yeah, so look, I don't know. There is a level of that. So if you just can't stand having something sort of imprint in your mind and just kind of guide what you're going to see as a character, all right, so be it.
Well, and maybe, you know, especially for the older generations, maybe this all comes from, you know, special effects not being as good, screenwriting not being as prized for adaptations, that kind of thing. You know, I mean, like a lot of older adaptations are kind of like B-movie schlock. So, you know.
Right. Yeah. So, anywho, that's kind of my stance on the whole thing. I think you should just watch a thing if it comes out, and especially because it's going to take much less of your time too.
Right.
Like, watch this season of Lock and Key or the first 4 episodes, and if it grabs you at all, finish it, read the comics. They're fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and having been turned on to the comics by you and Ricky recently, I can say 100% that if you enjoy comic books, you will probably love Lock and Key. Fuck, no, I'm sorry. Let's back that up. Even if you don't, if you just love a good story, you're going to love Lock and Key. It breaks the comic book mold in a lot of really interesting ways.
Oh, it does. Because, I mean, it's, you know, at the heart of it, it's a family drama, but then there's all this fantasy and horror element, and it's just a really, like, whimsical tale.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I feel like there was certain elements of that story that were reflected in not only the movie that we saw recently, Color from Space. Like, there was a bunch of cool shit that they did with the well that reminded me a lot of Lock and Key.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
there was the well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, obviously...
and I think Stranger Things was also inspired somewhat by Lock and Key. Like, they
I can see
definitely
it.
used some elements there as well.
Well, and all that stuff, you know, comes even full circle with the New England thing that Stephen King gloms onto that goes back to Lovecraft, too.
Absolutely. And I mean, he gets all of his, like, New England worship from Lovecraft.
Right, and so they all live in this space that's all this kind of, like, New England fantasy horror thing. And so, yeah, if you like kind of any of that, you'll like Lock and Key.
Damn straight.
Yeah, so anywho, it's been fun enjoying the shit out of that show. And
you can binge all of it, right?
Yeah, the whole first season's up. Sounds like they're gonna do a season 2, which rules. And it's 10 episodes. Good shit.
Cool.
They cast everyone so perfectly.
Nice.
That's what I really liked about it.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
But that's been my week. So I've actually had a pretty good time.
Dude, that sounds great.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's not a good time is this episode. I was looking for the segue. No, actually, real quick, before we get into that, I will tell everyone I'm doing better with the quitting smoking. Like I had admitted last week, or maybe even the week before, I sort of fell off. And I totally smoked cigarettes at temples. It was just too good of a time, and I had some drinks, and, you know, what are you going to do?
Sure.
But I will say this, I have only smoked cigarettes while drinking, so clearly that's a thing. And another, you know, vice that I'm trying to kind of work out and maybe reduce. But I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm like 4 days in now of no cigarettes, and I'm looking to keep that rolling. I'm not looking to have a cigarette anytime soon.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully when I check in next week, it'll be a whole another week of not smoking.
Good on you.
But I have not actually, in the last month, so it's been a month and 10 days since I started on the quitting journey, and I haven't smoked all that many cigarettes.
Well, right.
Total.
And I mean, like, just getting off of that, always just being able to smoke a cigarette whenever the fuck you want.
Yeah, totally.
Thing is huge, you know?
Yeah, so I'm pretty, obviously would love to just be fully gone from it, but I'm pretty happy with the reduction. It's like, I don't know, 1,000% reduction or something. So it's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good, and I'm pretty happy about that. But Again, please keep sending support and cat memes because it helps. It really does. This episode, this was so this one I've been sandbagging forever. I mean, like, Jesus, this is episode 68 or something,
right?
And it's just I don't know. It's a tough story to tell, and I even tried to do it once, and we decided to re-record it.
Yeah.
It's as you'll hear, it's a tough story to tell. There's not a ton of chuckles in this one.
Let's go ahead and say that it's kind of a bummer, but it definitely gets punched up a little bit.
Yeah, and you do a great job of bringing levity to an otherwise just like a real bummer of a story. So, and the only thing I do want to say is that, like, look, this is also just my experience with it, so I'm not trying to speak for like the other people who are involved,
right?
Because they have their own version of it and what they went through, and so maybe I'll get them on and we'll get that side of it someday. And but yeah, it was a shitty thing that happened to me.
Fucking A, man.
And it's taken a while to sort of work out how I was going to tell it on this, but here we are. This is kind of the big bombshell I've been building up to.
Well, and I think it's a good story. That's why it's on here.
I'm glad I can look at it as a story now,
yeah,
and not just like something that is sort of like defining my life.
Absolutely.
And to say that it'll ever stop defining my life is probably wrong. But
hey, man, your trauma never leaves you. You know, it's just how you deal with it.
Totally. And so with that too, I guess it's worth throwing out a small content warning. Yeah, there's some like violence in this
Definitely.
story.
Yeah.
It's pretty tame. There's a little bit of violence and some gun violence in it. So if that bugs you, that's in there. But
if it doesn't bug you, man, we just told you there's gun violence in this story.
Right? Yeah, then you should be getting excited, right? As most Americans would, anyway. All right, so we'll just turn you loose from here. Just mention all the housekeeping stuff. If you like what you're hearing, check us out on Patreon. That's patreon.com/comingdownpod. Just $1 a month will get you access to the bonus stuff. Oh, of which I'll put that episode out like this week or the next, like, when you hear this, within the next few days, we'll have another bonus app out.
Hell yeah.
And we got some other goodies. We really appreciate everyone who's chipping in and helping us, pay for the monthly hosting and stuff. It's awesome, and we love you all.
Thank you.
And if you want to go to the website, comingdownpod.com, we have show notes. I got one more picture from the India stories, so there's even more updates to the slideshow.
Oh, I love
so definitely drop in on those episodes. I think actually I might have a couple pictures for this episode, so I'll see what I can dig up.
Excellent.
And throw those in there. But that has all the links to, all the platforms. Show notes on each episode. God, we should just put a tribute to this cat.
I know, right?
And
cat will be in the show notes.
Yeah, totally. Jesus. Thanks for derailing me. I was doing so well.
Yeah, all right. Way to go, Winnie.
If you'd like to get a hold of us, that's at comingdownpod on Twitter or comingdownpod@gmail.com. It's the best ways to get a hold of us if you just want to drop us a line or if you want to come on the show and tell your own story.
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, let's go. Yeah, so I dealt drugs for a long time, from like 16 to my mid-20s. It's just crazy to think. And yeah, like, it was just weed and mushrooms and LSD. I didn't fuck around with shit.
I mean, I did the same shit.
Yeah, but because like I probably would have fucked with Molly, because it turns out I love it, but
it was not around, man.
Yeah, all we ever saw was press tabs, and those sucked.
Yeah, I mean, like, till the late 90s, it wasn't even, I mean, like, you heard about it every now and again, but it was hard to find.
Well, and like, I didn't even, we knew it was out there. We knew ecstasy was out there, but nobody we knew had it until early 2000s, and then again, it was press tabs. I did get my hands on Molly once, and it blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we heard that anybody had some fucking Molly or some sass, like, it was on.
Now, okay, yeah, what is sass? Because I just found out about it at Desert Days.
Oh, right. So, dude, I only did it, like, once or twice. I'm not entirely certain what it was. Like, you know, I've done what I knew as MDMA, and I've done what I know as MDA.
Right, because someone said it was MDA, but I don't think that's correct.
I mean, you know, it's been a long time, but my experience with sass was that it was really close to Molly. It was like a little mellower, like more relaxed, not as much like jaw clenchy kind of stuff.
That's what I heard.
But MDA was kind of psychedelic. Like there was a visual component to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, at least in my experience, you know, like one of the most indelible memories from that trip was it was early in the morning at this warehouse rave, and like it was a hippie rave. Like there was fucking drummers and like it was all like tribal kind of shit. But like this dude that we know named Joshua like comes rolling in this door, and it's like a kind of cold Eugene morning. It's like damp outside, and there's just like tendrils of mist swirling off of him and like the folks who are coming inside. And I know that there was probably some water vapor coming in, but it was so like cartoony and like spectral, if you will. I was just like, wow, I want to see more of this shit.
And this is just on MDA?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And I mean, like, it came from a source who, like, I trust, you know?
Sure.
Like, he specifically sought that out because he wanted that to be the drug of choice for the night.
Interesting. So. Wild.
Yeah. Huh. It was a fun party.
Yeah. All the dudes at Desert Days were singing the praises of sass, saying, like, it was the better way to go, but I had never even heard of it.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, it was a less tense kind of euphoria, you know.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong, I love me some Molly, but I'm sure everyone has experienced the kind of like muscle tension, especially like facial muscle tension that you sometimes get from large doses.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which is why I don't large dose Molly. In fact, I'm still kind of like running my numbers a little bit and figuring out where that sweet spot is.
Well, I mean, here's the deal, man.
Because I don't like actual like kind of rolling, and I don't like muscle clenchy stuff. I just sort of like the awake, bright vibe. You know, I just want to be a little more awake, a little more bright, a little more like feeling it, but not hard.
No, dude, I'm with you. Like, and that's why I used to be so goddamn scientific about it. And I mean, like, there's definitely something to be said for just going ham with the Otterbox, but like,
yeah, totally,
dude. My best experiences with it have been when I had carefully measured doses that I was taking on a predetermined schedule.
Yeah,
because, and I mean, obviously, you know, your doses are going to vary depending on body weight and things like that, so you're going to want to dial it in for like
I was going to say at least your schedule metabolism. You'd want to feel it out a little bit, you know.
Well, the schedule is actually the part that's, you know, not as flexible as maybe the dosage level, you know, like Alexander Shulgin said like every hour on the hour.
Really?
And I believe that he is right. If you want to plateau anyway, like, you know, you take your first dose, it's usually like a double dose or whatever, and then you do single doses every hour on the hour, and that's after you feel the effects. So usually the first dose, it's like about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then you do your second dose, and then every hour on the hour.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was really easy, though, because I had a watch exactly like Ricky's that beeps every hour on the hour.
There you go. Time for my medicine.
Yeah, as long as you dose, like, at midnight or whatever, you know, like, you're good to go.
Nice. Yeah. I'm still working it in, figuring it out, but yeah, I've been having a lot of success with Molly.
Hey man,
over anything else, really.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's got a lot of upside and very little downside.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, especially in the small quantities I do it in.
Right.
Like, I find basically you just lose the next day to the couch, you know,
sure.
And that's about it.
But as long as you're not like rolling your face off, you're not going to get the like pit of despair the next day. You know, it's just going to be like, mellow, low energy kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, I haven't had too much with the brain chemical imbalance, but yeah. But again, it's few and far between when I do it, and it's pretty low doses when I do. So, yeah, never sold Molly. Never sold anything weird. It was just...
I never sold Molly either. I was, like, adjacent to Molly sales. But
yeah.
Any Molly I ever had, I mean, like, maybe I, like, sold a pill, like, if I had a few, and, like, you know, homie needed one. Or like, we'd all chip in.
Yeah.
But, like...
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time I was just kind of the middleman, if anything. Yeah. Definitely sold tons of fucking other shit, though, you know?
Yeah.
Just psychedelics or weed.
No, I sort of, especially after some of the scares we had with psychedelics, I just sort of moved off of that train. It's like, you know what, like, I'm not interested in these lengthy felonies. Like, yeah, I think it was still a felony to get popped with, like, selling weed, but they're going to take it way easier on you than selling shrooms and LSD, so.
Did Colorado have the slap on the wrist law, like, under an ounce?
Yeah, totally.
God, we're just sister states.
Yeah, Colorado went through a couple of phases of sort of like decriminalization. Like they went to like an under an ounce thing, but then there are all sorts of other factors, like if you had it in multiple bags or, you know.
Oh yeah, they could still pop you in Oregon for multiple bags.
Like
too.
So there's all sorts of ways to get you for intent and this and
manufacturer,
that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's, you know, so you're always kind of taking that risk, but yeah, I moved to just like I took all of that knowledge from selling mushrooms and acid and stuff back in the day to just wanting to sell just enough weed to sort of smoke for free.
I feel like that's
sort of
what
get
everybody
by.
Gets. You know, it's not like you want to. Like, you realize that you can't actually make money selling weed unless you're willing to expose yourself to a lot of risk.
Exactly.
And so it's just so much safer to sell to your homies. And like I feel like every friend circle eventually settles on one person who just has the best hookup.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, like, this guy's got the fucking dank. Let's just all fucking pool our money or, like, just, you know, buy sacks from him, like, whenever we need to. And, like, you know, it's homies, so it's not like you're going to charge him more than, like, a 10% markup or something.
Right,
you know?
Totally. Yeah, or if you were the guy with the capital, then, like, you just go and, like, buy the 2 ounces and sell it to your friends for, like, a reasonable price. You get a free bag out of doing kind of the legwork and putting the capital up, and then that's it, you know?
Well, and you're never getting much more than, like, I mean, shit, at some points I wasn't getting much more than a free 20 sack out of, like, whatever I was getting, you know?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, back in the day, I mean, back in the early 2000s, it was just standard $3.50 an ounce for nugs, $50 an eighth, all the way up. So you'd buy an ounce for $3.50 and make a free eighth.
God, the land of $50 eighths. Like, my friends would turn their noses up if I told them it was $50 for weed, you know?
Yeah, Oregon had it a little cheaper.
It was $40 a bag out here, or $45 if your dealer was a dick.
Right, yeah.
Like 50, it was like, man, that better be some fucking like Humboldt fucking crons. You know? Like,
and prices started adjusting right before we moved out here. Like in 2009, we started getting eights for 40. It started sort of.
I will say that like 50 kind of became the price in the aughts, like right before medical hit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
did it sort of start coming up here a little bit? That's
before
funny.
Medical, it was like if you had super headies, you could maybe command $50 for a bag if you were like selling to people who weren't like strictly homies, you know? It was just understood like, okay, it's 50 for a sack, but like, I mean, it was 40 forever. I mean, you know, high school it started at 45 because like you're a high school kid, you know? But like, it was done.
Man. But even in Fort Collins, it was a lot of hustle. Like even just selling to homies, you know, I'd try and pick up an ounce or two at a time, and then sometimes I'd just wouldn't sell it very fast, or it was always kind of a hustle trying to get those bags out. But I still did it for the longest time because I wanted to smoke for free. You know, I was fucking minimum wage in Fort Collins until 2007 was $5.15 an hour. So like, there was no fucking job in town, at least that I qualified for, that was gonna get me fucking anywhere, dude. Like, you know, I'd usually try and make a little extra scratch too, just for like bill money or like beer money.
Oregon's always had a pretty high minimum wage.
But
I don't know what it was back then, but I want to say it was closer to $7.
Yeah, I mean, we were still paying, you know, $800 for rent on a house split 4 ways at $5.15 an hour, and it's just like fucking ridiculous, dude.
That's almost untenable.
Well, it's what fucking led me to selling weed for so long. I'll tell you that much, dude. Like, yeah, there was a certain point where, yeah, I mean, it just made no sense to fucking have a job. Like, you know? Yeah, I guess I could go bust my ass, but I had no skills. I didn't go to college. I didn't have any fucking, like, prior training. I was very good with money, but for reasons, for other reasons. And I wasn't even good with money. I had handled a lot of it, we'll say that much. But, so in 2004, I believe, is the correct year for this. Fuck, man. I should know this. I believe it's 2004.
Allegedly.
Well, okay, I should start one before. So I'd lived in this apartment. So yeah, and it was always like a sketchy thing, right? I was constantly worried about the cops, and neighbors and other people, like wondering what we were up to.
I mean, I'm worried about the cops now, and I have nothing to hide, you know?
Yeah, right. And we were living in this apartment. So it was also a series of like moving out of places because it got too weird. And I have a couple examples of that, but yeah, we lived in this apartment, and we didn't even have a ton of traffic. I didn't sell a ton of weed, but I even had kind of another dude I was farming some stuff out to a little bit.
Okay, yeah, you got a runner.
I'd pick up like a quarter pound and like drop him 2 ounces for a little bit of a discount, and like that's just how we could kind of move it and get the best deal.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I feel like that's just the natural evolution.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to be the guy fucking slanging 20 sacks. You want to be the guy who's slanging fucking quarters and half ounces.
Right. So I'd make $30 off of him, you know, fronting him 2 ounces, you know, and then I'd make another $80 or $100 off the 2 ounces I sold in bags. So it was like nothing, dude. It was such a bad game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So every week and a half, I'd get like $130 extra. So it sucked. But anyway, one day we came home and we got a note. There's like a handwritten note on or actually it wasn't handwritten. It was typed. It was a typed note.
It wasn't cut out of newspaper clippings?
No. Oh, God. No, it was just stuck to the door, and it was just like 2 sentences. It was like, I know what you're up to. Like,
oh, my God.
Something, and like, you better stop or whatever. And we're like, God damn it, dude. It's like, we're in this little apartment building of 4 units. Like, all right, well, which one of these fuckers?
Fucking dicks.
Yeah, it's like, I doubt it's the young college girl who lives across the way from us. So it's like, either it's one of the 2 people downstairs. Anyway, we were just like, fuck it, we gotta move.
Downstairs apartment with weed traffic. I mean, upstairs apartment with weed traffic. That's rough.
Yeah.
You want to be on the ground floor, so it's harder for them to hear people coming and going.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, it's like, all right, well, we gotta move. This was not the first time that I just like we're at a place, something happens with like sketchy with the neighbors or with people around, and it's like, fuck, well, it's time to move.
Fucking A, man.
So we bailed and then moved into this house, and this house ruled, man. We're in Fort Collins. We're on Cook Street, so it's like 1 block or 2 blocks from Mulberry, right behind the lake where they do the fireworks. So we could sit in our backyard and had a better seat for the fireworks than anyone at the park.
Dope.
It fucking rocked. We threw one very epic 4th of July there. God, I don't even know if we lived there a full year. We lived there a year and then change, like a month or 2. So I think we did only have the one 4th of July party. But this place ruled. We moved in and they had converted the garage into like a bedroom. But we decided to just, and we even asked our landlord if we could soundproof it. I don't know if he realized what we meant by that, but we fucking took 2x4s and nailed them or screwed them into all of the studs. And then we took, like, just any insulation we could find, like old sheets and shirts and blankets and stuff, and just stuffed and basically built a fake wall and then like drilled plywood in over that.
Wow.
And then drilled like 3 layers of carpet into all the plywood.
Holy shit.
Unfortunately, it still wasn't enough because we still had neighbors bitch at us.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like newspaper and old shirts, like,
yeah,
it's not really gonna block that much.
But we thought 3 layers of carpet would also help.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of did. But yeah, so we wanted to soundproof this room so that we could play music and go late, but, you know, regular floor of the house wasn't going to work. You really want a basement for that, but we could not find a basement place to save our lives, and so we're like, fuck it, dude, we'll just soundproof this place and then we can play. it didn't really work, but we did get to play a lot there, and yeah, it was a really fun house to live in. I lived with fucking like two of my good friends. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I lived with two of my good friends, and then after a while, one of my homies just started crashing on the couch. So we had a pretty good crew all hanging out there, and then my girlfriend lived across the street with another one of my good friends. And so between the two houses, we just like would throw parties all the time and have a good old time. That also made selling weed easy because she went to college.
Oh, perfect.
And so she would swing by with like kids from the dorms that she knew and fucking sell weed. And I had befriended another good friend of the pod that I won't mention his name around the same time, and so he would like introduce me to weirdos, weird old German dudes, or like anyway,
More Herzog.
And then everything was just kind of going great, man. Like we're playing shows all the time. We were actually like getting shows with my band, even though we sucked, and and then things definitely sort of escalated. So and I was like on and off selling weed while I was living at this house, and then I met a person who basically gave me a really good hookup. Like they were like, here, I know this person, you should meet them, you two work something out. Because I was getting weed through this one person, and they were like, look, I'm not gonna do this forever, but you talk to this person, you guys will get along.
Yeah, I've had the like hand me down like supply chain before.
Yeah, and so person two was awesome. Yeah, they were like would front me, you know. I didn't have to have any capital up front which was good because I was always broke, you know, living check to check, bag to bag, and so and so they're like, yeah, we'll front you. We'll do like £1 at a time. Sound good?
Nice.
Like, fuck yeah, sounds great. And as we were talking, I was not getting much of a discount even on pounds.
Well, that's the thing about a front, you know, is like...
Right, because it was a front.
Yeah, if it's a front, they're not going to give you a discount because that's how they're making their money.
Yep, and smart for them, because I sold for them for probably like 9 months, so they probably made like $1 million fucking off me.
That's how the weed supply chain worked back in the day. You know, there was guys who had pounds, and they would fucking give them to just a few people, you know, and then those guys would give ounces to just a few people, and then
I made like $500 a month. They probably made like literally probably like $300,000 off me. Yeah, dude. So I was getting pounds for like 5,000, which is like just not even a discount at all.
That was the price back in the day for fucking dank.
Yeah, know? Totally. But I would move it very fast, and it was absolutely the best weed in town. I mean, I don't know, it's a biggish town. There's probably other good weed, but it was
the best weed that you saw anyway.
Fucking A, dude. And people would come back because like there was just nothing that compared.
That was always my goal when I was the fucking guy, you know. It was like anytime I saw fucking weed that was better than what I had, I'm just like, fucking, where did you get this? You know, like.
Yeah, and so and I became kind of a legit dealer, and it sucked because like, so the person that was giving me these pounds was obviously working off of like one grow op,
right?
And so it would, like, their stuff would dry up for a while.
Yep.
You know? And it'd be, like, a month or two. But I had people, like, just blowing my shit up for weed constantly. And so then I'd get other weed, and it would never live up, and then it was always this huge hassle.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so that was sort of the thing that was going on. But
dry times, that's something we haven't had
I know, right? I know.
For fucking 20 years at least.
Dude, right? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day of, like, how it's just been so long since I've like scraped a bowl for resin or like worried about weed being dry or just even thought about that concept, or even like when we were talking recently about beasters, you know, like God. BC weeds and shit. It's like, dude, I haven't even thought about like what bad fucking weed being passed off as like kind bud looked like,
right? Like immature weed that like hadn't been completely dried, and you're like,
totally.
What the fuck is this? You know?
Yeah, it's fucking wild. But So things are still going great though. That was just sort of the landscape of what it looked like during my time in my life there, and the dude living on the couch, he was a little younger, and so he had brought some new clientele around, which I didn't hate because he was helping me like move my shit and taking care of business while I was out of the house. So we had gotten...
That's crucial.
And again, we had received a little heat from one of the neighbors, this one guy, and I don't remember how it came up.
So this is a place you moved to after you got the note at the last place? Okay.
Yeah, totally. And, like, but we were, like, a party house, too. Like, we threw parties all the time, and people hung out all the time.
God, why is it that the drug dealer is always the one that fucking throws parties, too? Like, it's just...
Right, because the drug dealer knows how to have a good time.
Yeah, and, like, that's where everybody ends up hanging out. Right. Like, that's where the fucking...
And that's where the fucking drugs are. Yeah. Well, right, because you show up to buy a bag, you load a bowl, someone else loads a bowl, next thing you're there, then suddenly people are buying beer, and it's like, hey, is it cool if I hang out?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. There's another knock on the door. Oh, hey, here.
Yeah, like, totally,
Yeah, like, whatever, you know?
Yeah, that first person ends up knowing them. It's like, oh, yeah, well, we're all here now. Like, all right, then, yeah, it's party time. Oh, yeah. You guys gonna jam? Can we all listen to you guys play? It's like, and then it's a show, and then, yeah, anyway.
Yep. God, dude. Fucking back in the day.
Which was fun for, you know, an early 20s dude who wanted all the fame and fortune.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's like, hell yeah. But yeah, the neighbor had, oh, God, and I really don't remember why I ended up talking to him. He didn't, like, leave a note on the door, but for some reason I was talking to him, and he was just like, yeah, dead accusing me of everything. Just like, oh, yeah, like, fucking you think I don't see people going in and out of your house all day? And I was like, dude, whatever, we're college kids and musicians and, like, have friends. We're, like, and we literally did live, like, 6 blocks from the campus.
Right.
It was like, yeah, motherfuckers come over all the time, man. We're in our 20s, dude.
What the fuck was his end game? Like, was he trying to get you to admit it so he could fucking narc you out?
Well, right, that'd be hilarious. Be like, oh yeah, like, now you mention it, I do deal bags all the time, all day, every day, all night, baby.
Was he just fucking with you because he wanted to be a dick? Like,
yeah.
What an asshole.
Yeah, he was weird, but we also, like, threw ragers and stuff, so...
Oh, okay, yeah.
He probably hated us.
You guys,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, dude was, like, a property owner, like, in this neighborhood, and, like, hated our asses.
Oh, I thought you meant that he was, like, your apartment neighbor, not, like...
Oh, no. This was a house. We had a house proper,
okay,
so...
Got it. Okay, sorry.
We also... This was hilarious, too. We also were renting the house from the... God, he was, like, the head of... like community service for the government, so he was like kind of almost like he actually had like an officer title too. He wasn't like a parole officer, but he was like head of like corrections.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and was like part of the legal system and stuff, so we thought it was like really hilarious to be like dealing all this weed out of his house. But also, like, oh my God. But also we thought it was a great cover because we were like, he would never think that we're so stupid that we would just like do that. So I don't know. Which he didn't. It was pretty funny. Anyway,
it's the old fucking double blind.
Yeah, right. So one of the new customers that I had gotten was this dude Jesse, and I had kind of a rule set for everyone. It was, and this is when I had finally gotten away from a pager, finally had a cell phone.
All right.
But my rule was call me, don't text me, and you need to call me, and like, I need to answer and tell you that like, yes, it's cool to come over, and like, we need to fucking make that clear, and I need to know when you're coming over, because I had like too many randos just like swinging by.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't want fucking traffic if I don't have anything. It'd be, like, movie night, and I don't have a bag, and it's just, like, dude, like, rolls in through the front door, like, hey, man. Like, dude, fuck off. We're not partying. We're not anything. Get out of here.
Right.
So, yeah. So I sort of was, like, putting the fucking law down because I was getting sick of that shit.
For sure.
But this one dude kept fucking doing that. And he kept fucking just, like, showing up. And he also wanted, like, small bags, like dimes and shit.
Oh, that's a fucking deal breaker.
And I would do half-eighths for, like, homies, but I hated doing that even.
Well, and, like, the whole thing is, like, yeah, I'll break you off a chunk, but, like, you're gonna hang out, right? You know, like...
Yeah, even then, I was just like, well, yeah, I had enough fucking traffic. I didn't need people to hang out and smoke bowls with me. Like, I was doing fine. I was making my own smoke every week, so... And then some. In fact, I... was even doing, like, kind of well. You know, when you're working in the pound level, yeah, I was making, like, I don't know, $500-$600 a month, maybe, on, like, good months. because it did start getting up to 2 pounds for a certain while, because I was actually just cranking through it. So,
Damn.
Again, with the help of the guy on the couch, he was bringing in some new clientele and helping me move stuff. So, yeah.
Sure.
So, in fact, and I had even gotten a job because I was starting to worry about it. I was like, oh, I need to go and keep up appearances. Like, I haven't had a job for like 4 months, 5 months, so let's just go get a part-time job. And I got a part-time job at the mall working at a game store.
Nice.
Yeah, which fucking ruled.
Hell yeah.
It turned out I loved the job, so I was like, cool. And even I did like the job so much that I was like, and was starting to get so kind of irritated and like worried about the weed shit that I was kind of like, I was on the verge of like toning it way down, if not even just like calling it.
Well, I'm sure you were at least pruning it,
Well, yeah, and like
telling people to fuck off that you didn't want coming around anymore.
So there was definitely combination of things was leading me to that point, like the guy across the street being very like confrontational and suspicious, randos just showing up, like increased clientele. It was just like, I don't know, man, like none of this is feeling good. Oh, and then this happened. The whole house was out one night. We were all at the bar except for a guy on the couch. He was out somewhere else because he wasn't 21. So we were all out at the bar, and then we came home, and one of my roommate's rooms was like sacked. Like someone had come in and like pulled all the drawers out of all his shit. Like they had overturned his room, like looking for something.
Jesus.
And jacked his Xbox and all his games and shit.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, and then we found the bathroom window had been pried open, and there was like a muddy like footprint, like someone had pried that open, climbed in through the window, jacked his Xbox.
What a piece of shit.
But also like tossed his room. Tossed is what I'm looking for, not sacked. Tossed his room.
There we go.
Looking for something. And so we were like, that's not cool, and like we should really fucking kind of batten down the hatches and kind of call things quits here probably soon. So I had either one more batch coming in or had my batch and they just didn't find it. This is the other thing too. We had a band room just full of gear and like they didn't know.
I was gonna say like they broke in and all they took was an Xbox.
That is all they took.
Like either you guys, they must have like gotten spooked or something. Because Jesus, dude.
Who knows? We might have come home like. I don't even know, because I'm sure we were like loud down the block, like walking home from the bar, so they might have fucking heard us and booked it. Anyhow, yeah, so that was kind of a big red flag, which we all paid attention to, but didn't act fast enough.
Fuck.
And then this Jesse dude, would always come by, and he fucking always wanted dime bags, and
fucking dime bags.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, like
I thought you meant 20 sacks. Like
no, like small amounts. Like
fuck a dime bag.
I know,
dude.
man. Right. Totally.
So like the reason I said like, oh, you're gonna hang out, right? Was I had a buddy, and like, man, I mean, we're still friends. I love this guy. He would fucking sell you $5 worth of weed that was basically a 20 sack.
Yeah.
If you were going to hang out, because it's like, well, let's just fucking puff all this shit, right?
Right. Like a different way of saying, like, well, why don't you just give me $20 and we'll sit here and get high and you can leave with a bowl or two.
Well, no, it was like, here, give me $5. I'm going to put all this weed on the table.
Oh, there you go.
We're just going to smoke it till it's gone.
There you go.
And like, fuck yeah, that's so rad, like sometimes I was fucking broke. And
as long as that dude's cool to hang out with, then
well, yeah.
He's like, that's a great deal.
He's like, dude, fucking hang out with me. Let's get fucking totally ripped.
Nice.
Yeah. Good guy.
That art's gone.
Right. But I mean, like, you just want to come into my house and like give me $5 for like a tiny scrap of weed that's like barely more than a bowl, like.
Well, yeah, and this is the shitty thing, right? Is like, so dude would roll in. And him, I knew he was friends of one of my friends had a good friend, and then it was his cousin. So I'd like met him at parties before, and like I kind of thought he was like tied into like an inner circle of people I knew.
Okay.
Through like like he knew that I knew where he came from. Like, he was cousins with this dude who's good friends with like a good friend of mine. It's like, and we all knew everyone's sort of fucking score.
So he was like somebody's annoying cousin, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And so this dude would roll through, and this was the third time he had done it, and I fucking every time he came through, I was like, dude, I don't mind doing this for you this time, but like, you gotta call me. That's like my policy. Call me first, make sure I'm here, and then also, you know, I don't do anything smaller than a half-eighth. Like, I was like, and I really don't even want to do a half-eighth, but like, I'll do it for you if that's like what we got to do.
Oh god, dude. Yeah.
And so
such a waste of time.
Yeah, totally. But the shitty thing is like, yeah, since he wanted a little amount, basically I would just like take him back into my room and just weigh him a dime out of like my personal stash, right?
No.
So the weird thing is though, is like the night in question here, he did come back into my room, but I only had 3 ounces sitting out on my bed. And then I weighed him out, like, some shit out of my stash. He was cool, like, fucking took off. This particular night, it was me and my roommate Pat, and then I had just, because I worked at the game store, and so I had just brought home Settlers of Catan.
Oh,
had
shit.
never played this game before, or we had played it once before, and like, yeah, fucking
gamer babies.
Yeah, good old, yeah, I know, right? Yeah, fucking finally broke away from like your Monopolies and your Clues and your what have you, and played like a little bit more of a gamer's game, but yeah, and that was like kind of the beginning of me becoming like a big gamer. Although we did play Lord of the Rings Risk quite a bit around that time too. Anyway. So I had called up my buddy Abe and was like, dude, you should come over, play this game. We need at least 3 people to play, so come play this board game with us. And he was down, so he came over. We set up the game, and we get all the pieces and everything, and I think it was literally like right as someone made that first roll, the front door just burst wide open, and 4 dudes in bandanas with guns fucking just like roll in and start yelling at us, and yeah, and so only 3 of the dudes were wearing bandanas. One of the dudes was not, for some reason. Dude was just like, don't give a fuck if you see my face. But
that's the guy you want to watch out for.
He was, yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Well, and he seemed a little squirrely, so yeah.
Fuck.
But 2 dudes in bandanas with guns basically moved us all to our couch. It was like, you know, hustling us, like, you over there, you sit there, you sit there, and we're all just sitting on the couch with our hands up.
Jesus.
And we're the only ones, you know. This is the shitty thing. Like, this house is full of people most nights,
right?
But it was board game night with just the 3 of us, you know.
Oh my god.
And yeah, and so fucking dudes just yeah. So this part, I'll just preface this with like, obviously this was insane. The sequence of events is probably totally fucking wrong. I don't exactly remember like what happened first or second, but it was a lot of shouting. It was 2 dudes holding us at gunpoint on the couches, while the other 2 dudes ran through the back rooms and started ransacking them, and you could hear them like knocking shit over and like pulling shit out, and they're yelling stuff like, we can't find it, and all this shit.
Fuck.
And the dudes that are holding us at gunpoint are yelling at us, you know, just like, don't move, like fucking making sure we're not doing anything weird. We're all just sitting there pissing our fucking pants with our hands up. And one of the dudes comes running back out, and he's like, I can't find it. And so the dude looks at me, and he's like, where is it? Like, one of the dudes with the guns like looks at me, he's like, where is it? And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I'm a fucking idiot. And he's like, no, dude, like, where is it? And then I believe I kind of played coy again. Was like, oh, what? Like, what do you mean? And then he fucking hit me with the gun and fucking
pistol whipped you.
Yeah, and he did like a downward fucking like hack into like my cheek, basically.
Oh, so he didn't really pistol whip you, he just kind of bitch slapped you with the gun.
Well, yeah, it was like, yeah, again, it was sort of like a axe chop down forward, but it did fucking like nail the shit out of me.
Yeah, but if he's hitting you with the barrel, it's an idiot.
Well, yeah, totally. But it cut the shit out of me and fucking cut my cheek wide open, and there's tons of like capillaries in your cheeks.
Absolutely.
And so like blood just starts going everywhere and just like filled my vision. What I found out later,
fucking amateurs.
Well, I'll get to that, but yeah, blood fills my vision, fucking blood, and I'm just like, oh, and it fucking, rattled my cage a little bit. Like,
sure.
He definitely did it with enough force that it was like getting fucking punched with a fucking little metal rod. But and so then I'm like, all right, these things are serious. So I was like, all right, man, yeah, dude, like if you go back to my room, because I did still have all that weed just sitting out on my bed. I was like, it's just on my bed, like there's weed, back room to the right, it's on my bed, just grab that. And then dude comes, he like runs back there.
Yeah, how can they not find it if it's sitting on your fucking bed?
Yeah, no, right, totally. And yeah, and so I was like, dude, it's fucking, and that's why I was like spelling it out for him. I was like, all the way to the back, to the right, it's on my bed. There's fucking ounces of weed sitting there. Like, just take that shit. And then like while the dude's running back there, I think the guy like made us all take out our wallets and shit. And so we were like doing that, and they're like pulling bills out of our wallets and like looking through them and stuff. And then dude comes running back out, and he's like, that's not all of it, or he said something to the effect of like, this dude knew that there was more, which I'll never fucking know how this dude knew that there was more, because all of my money was in a safe, and then all of the other weed was like stashed in a closet, but then fucking dude was like, where's the rest of it? And I was like, dude, everything's on my bed, like you have it all. And he was like, no, where's the rest of it? And fucking I was like, I'm telling you. And that's when he fucking, well, and see, no, and he did only clock me the once, and then that's when he hit my friend Abe, who's sitting to the right of me, and he fucking swings the gun, like, he basically, like, hits him with, like, it was, like, as if it was an open palm slap, but with the gun in his hand, and so he kind of, like, clocks him in the cheek, but no fucking trigger control. Dude's got his finger on the trigger, and the gun fucking goes off as he, like, hits him.
Fuck.
Which, I'll get to this later too, but it was insane that it didn't fucking just like deafen me, because it basically went off like right next to my head and Abe's head, because it was hitting him as it went off.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that could deafen you.
Yeah. Well, and at the time it didn't sound like anything because my adrenaline was just fucking going through the roof. It literally sounded like a cap gun to me. It was like a pop. Like, that's it. It was just like this pop.
Fuck.
And I was like really confused, because that's like, I thought for a second that it was a fake gun, but I didn't like do anything, because also there's still like 4 dudes. One of the other dude's guns looked very real, so because this dude, the dude who hit me and the dude who hit Abe, it was a black revolver. It was like an all black, like almost matte black revolver.
Wow. Which
is weird, and it just looked ridiculous.
Don't see those often.
Yeah, it just looked ridiculous. And anywho, so
he's fucking pistol slapping people with a revolver.
Yeah, totally. And so gun goes off, and I look over. Idiot. I look over at Abe, and he's like holding his neck, and I'm like, and again, I don't think that this is even a real gun for a second. Right. Also, like, he hit him on the side, so I was like, if the gun did go off, like, it just went it didn't hit any of us or whatever. But again, I did take that moment very seriously, and I did know that it was like, okay, listen, back room, in the closet, there's a safe. Like, the key is here. There's also a weed in this spot in the closet. Just take all of that and get out of here. And so then dude runs back there, gets all of it. And fucking, well, see, and again, timeline's fucking timey-wimey. It's wishy-washy here.
Yeah.
There was at one point, because the gun went off. See, and actually, I think I had already told them where everything was, but dude was just, like, frustrated and decided to, like, hit Abe, because as, like, they were trying to get everything together, like, that's when the gun went off, and then one of the dudes came running back out and was like, what the fuck is going on out here? Because that was not supposed to happen, and that was the only reason I that was the kind of the only hint that I had that we weren't gonna fucking die that night. Even though I kind of still thought we were gonna die.
Sure, but they're at each other's throats now because they're fucking it up.
Yes, but then that also like kind of made me think we were definitely gonna die. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous is when you've got amateur fucking idiots who don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
but I did think like
will either kill you or not, and like it's their choice. You know?
But I did think like, all right, these dudes like don't want to like shoot anyone. They're not trying to do that. They're just trying to get all the weed.
Right. Well, and they probably didn't even know that you had anything else, but they just figured if they intimidated you, if they didn't try to intimidate you, then they wouldn't necessarily find everything.
Yeah, probably. And like, yeah, I guess
fuck,
I don't know.
They couldn't even figure out which bedroom was yours, and there was weed on the bed.
Oh, tell me about it,
These
man.
guys are the worst.
They are, and we'll get to more on how they were the worst. But
moron,
yeah, dude, fucking A. Yeah, it was just so yeah, maybe you're right, and maybe if I had just held my ground, but like it's only those 4 ounces.
That's not what I'm saying. Like,
no,
someone might have still got shot, you know, but like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, I guess once. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
I mean, I'm pretty sure like self-defense trainers will back me up. Like when people are pointing weapons at you, it's best to just give them what they want.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just didn't. Yeah, and the only reason I sort of, well, again, I was scared of everyone at this point. Like, I'm still, even with a gun in my face, I'm still running through like, what am I gonna do about my dealers? You know?
Hey man, better them than fucking amateurs with guns. You know?
Yeah, totally. And my dealers weren't on the on the front page scary, but I didn't know what people are capable of when you owe someone $10,000.
Right.
It's like, fuck, dude. Either these dudes shoot me or like my dealer shoots me. I don't even fucking know, dude. I had no idea. But so yeah. So anyway, it's probably the only reason I didn't just give up everything like right at the start.
Well, I think you were right to resist at first. You know, like,
I do regret it though, man.
You need to make a token resistance. Be like, dude, you've already got my weed, and like. Also to be like, what do you mean? I'm like, I would have done the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm pretty sure that I've heard you tell at least one part of this story in the past where you definitely said that you told him where the shit was before the gun went off.
Yeah, that is correct. If I'm remembering it correctly right now, yeah, because I think after they fucking busted me in the chops, and they might have hit me again. I think they hit me twice. So after that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like, we need to tell him where all the shit is. But then dude was just still getting, like, frustrated. I think that was part of it, too. Like, one of the dudes still couldn't find it, even though I told him, like, where the safe was, even after everything. They just were doing a very bad job of finding it. Anyway, this part's so shaky, and even, like...
Well, I mean, dude, it was 20 years ago, and you were fucking scared out of your mind.
And even literally an hour later, I was having trouble, like, recalling, like, specific details. Like,
adrenaline fucking wipes your memory, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like, certain things so distinctly, you know? Like, I remember the shape of that dude's gun barrel in my face, like, because that's what I was looking at.
Right. But, I mean, especially after he hit you a couple of times, you were in shock, like...
Oh, yeah. Well, and I couldn't see out of one eye after that, because fucking blood everywhere, but... So, yeah, so the fucking dude comes running back out, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? And then, like, another dude comes running out, and he's like, all right, like, we got it, let's go. And that's when dude was, like, the main dude who had already, like, whacked us a couple times, fucking was like, all right, everyone, close your eyes, count to 60. And then that was the moment I was like, oh, now we're dead. Like, now this dude's just gonna fucking shoot us. But, like, I complied. Like, I didn't know what the fuck else to do.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I fucking closed my eyes.
Let him shoot you with your eyes open?
Yeah, right. And then we just hear them all run out the front door. And
the worst magic trick ever.
Right? Go out the front.
Yeah. And now we'll disappear.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we all, like, kind of peel an eye open, like, still have our hands up, like, look around for a second, and fucking, I can't remember, someone was like, well, go fucking lock the door.
That's literally what I was about to say.
Yeah. And, oh, no, the first thing's first, because I look at Abe, because he's still holding his neck. Right. And I look at him, and I was like, dude, I think it was a cap gun. And he looks at me like I'm fucking insane. And I'm like, no, seriously, dude, like, I think it was a fake gun. And he, like, pulls his hand, and there's 2 black holes in his neck.
Oh, my God.
Where the bullet went in and where the bullet came out.
Ooh.
And I'm just like, oh, fuck, it's not a cap gun. And then that's when someone was like, lock the fucking door. And so I fucking jump up, and I run, and I lock the door. And I sort of just look at everyone, and we're all just like, I mean, none of us know what the fuck to do.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, your eyes full of blood.
Yeah.
Fucking homie's got a hole in his neck.
Yeah,
like...
I mean, he's, like, got his hand on his neck and is staring at me, and, like, Pat's just staring at me, and I'm just sort of looking at everyone. I'm like, okay, I gotta call the cops, right? Like, and everyone's like, yeah, like, fuck, okay. And so I, like, find my phone, like, call 911, like, tell, you know, and I actually kind of jumped into, like, coherent mode. I was like, okay, I'm at this address. My buddy's been shot. I've been whipped in the face. These are the people who robbed us, and, like, just gave them everything.
Right.
And they're like, okay, like, we're sending people over. And lady told me, she's like, all right, for your friend who's been shot, you need to get, like, a towel, or, like, a clean towel is best.
Right.
And you just want to, like, put pressure on it, make sure it's, like, not bleeding and all this and that. And
now how much blood had he lost at this point?
So none, basically.
What?
And we'll get to that in a second.
Oh my God. He's got a fucking clean hole in his neck.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
dude,
point blank shot like that. Yeah, all right.
It was insane.
Anyway, I didn't mean to derail.
No, it's process. Fine. It's so funny because, like, we lived in and I'm even thinking this clearly at this point, because, like, we lived in this fucking dirty party house, and I was like, there's not a clean towel.
I was gonna say,
like, everyone in this house owns one towel, and they're all dirty.
Probably a clean T-shirt, maybe.
So so I ran into my room and just grabbed a fistful of clean fucking boxers that I had.
There you go.
Just like, it was the first thing I could see in my fucking closet that was, like, clean fabric, and so I just, like, grabbed that and fucking run back out, and I was like, dude, give it to Abe. I was like, you gotta put it on, like, put pressure on it, like, hold it. Fucking so he does that, and then I'm on the phone with the 911 operator, but I'm like, okay, I think, like, everything's, like, under control, and she's like, all right, well, they're gonna be here in, like, a minute, so, like, get ready. And, like, yeah,
oh, right.
And she was fucking right, because, yeah, like, a minute later, you know, like, pounding on the door, it's please, and I was like, cool, I'm coming, it's locked, I'm coming. I fucking unlock the door cracks open, fucking 8 dudes with guns fucking push past me and, like, roll into my house and hold us all at gunpoint.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And they're all in fucking body armor, and they all have assault rifles.
This is the thing about the post 9/11 fucking police, is it's like, it's always going to be the raid part 3, you know? Like,
yeah, dude.
Because they gotta fucking bro down before they can fucking actually, like, do real police work.
And so it was, like, the literal same thing that had just happened to us.
Right.
Except with police. But they all, like, rush in with guns, and they're like, you over there, on your knees, hands up, hands behind your head, blah, 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 blah. You know, just like, it's like, oh, fuck, dude, we just went through this, man.
Right.
And then, so it was a lot of that, and and I've got 2 dudes, like, I move over to the fucking floor, and I'm just on my knees, and I got, like, 2 fucking cops with, like,
I'm the one who called the cops,
assault rifles, like, trained on my head, like, blood still just, like, pouring out of my face.
Jesus.
Fucking, yeah, dude. And finally, like, some dude comes in, like, whoever's, like, head of the shit show,
right,
comes in, and kind of one by one, like, first they get Abe and they, like, take him out and put him in an ambulance. Great. And then they come and fucking tend to me, and they're like, you're injured and all this stuff. I'm like, yes. And I'm sitting there with, like, on my knees with my hands behind my head, and they're like, okay, like, just a second, like, we'll fucking get this sorted out. And I was like, can I have a cigarette? And they were like, no. And I was so mad. I was like, come on, like, I'm just sitting here, like, while you figure this out, can I please just have a cigarette? And they would not let me.
Yeah, well, this isn't the South, dude.
Yeah, dude, right? Totally. And so then
Sorry to
they're...
anyone who's from the South.
Yeah, I know. Well, fuck, they would let you have a cigarette.
They probably would.
And so then fucking... Yeah, and so then they tend to me or whatever. They're like, all right, you're injured, you need to go to the hospital, like, come with us. And I go outside talking to cops and EMT, and like they got Abe in there. They're already working on him, like checking out his wound and stuff. They're like, you should just roll in this ambulance right here with your friend. And I was like, I'm not taking an ambulance, like I'm not fucked up. And they're like, no, like it looks pretty bad. And I'm like, no dude, I'm fine, like I'll drive, like I'll get someone to drive me there, but I know how much these things cost.
Yeah, no shit.
I was like, I don't have insurance, like this is insane. And they're like, no, like you really need to go. And they're sort of just like shoving me into the ambulance, and like Abe's there, and they're like, you should really ride with your friend and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And so next thing I know, I'm on an ambulance, and we're like...
Were you guys on the same ambulance?
The same ambulance, yeah. And so they had him like laid down.
I mean, okay, at least you're like ride sharing.
Oh yeah.
The cost isn't split.
No,
I'm joking.
No, absolutely not ride sharing, dude. Jesus, yeah. And I mean, look, yeah, it was cool to like be on the ambulance and like hold my buddy's hand while he's getting treated for a gunshot wound and shit. He was very calm, and everything seemed to be like fine, but like it was a lot of panic because somebody had just been shot, obviously.
Well,
so
no shit.
And in the neck, no less. It was insane, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, like even though he hasn't lost any blood, like I'm sure they were just like, oh god, you know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah.
I mean, if they were just cool, calm, and collected, and they were like, well, I mean, he hasn't lost any blood, so like let's just walk to the hospital. I mean, like that would be weird. Right?
Yeah, well, and they didn't. I don't think that. So this is so bizarre, but I don't think those EMTs even fucking knew what to do because it was so bizarre. But we'll get to that in just a second. And so, yeah, anywho, the ambulance ride was, like, weird. It was the only time I've ever ridden in an ambulance. Yeah, and it was just, like, us looking at each other, just like, what the fuck happened? What are we gonna do? Why here now? Like, you know.
Right.
But we get there, and then, like, yeah, they hustle him off to ER, and then drag my ass over to, like, an operating, or, I don't know, it wasn't even an OR. It was just, like, a room. But, yeah, they get me cleaned up, and as it turns out, when that gun barrel came down the first time,
it had chlamydia on it.
Thank God. Well, I don't know. Probably not. It swung and it sliced my eyelid.
Oh Jesus!
Vertically, and so my eyelid was like split, and then I had a big old gash on my cheek.
Fuck.
And then actually I think one on my eyebrow too. I can't remember. I had stitches in 3 different places. But one of those spots was my eyelid. And it was, gnarly.
Heebie-jeebies, dude.
Yeah, dude. It was real gnarly. And so they like explained to me.
With my eyelids, like,
oh my god, right? Yeah. And so they're explaining to me what's going on. Luckily, like just this whole side of my face was just like swollen, and like my eyelid was just like, or my eye was like almost swollen shut, so I wasn't really trying to like blink it or move it or do anything.
Sure. It
just was all like pain on the left side of my face.
No, could you see through the hole in your eyelid?
No, it was too swollen, dude. It was too swollen.
Good.
It was a hole.
Say it was cut through.
No, it would be more like a parted curtain, if anything.
The eye of Sauron.
Yeah, dude.
All right. To our listeners at home, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So and so they're like, okay, well, we'll get you stitched up. So they stitched up my cheek and I think above my eyebrow. I can't remember exactly where else I needed them. Or I think maybe on my lip too. But and then they're like, we got to call in a specialist for the eyelid because like that's a tough thing.
What the fuck do you do about that?
Yeah, well, so there's like only one guy in town who does it, and they had to like wake his ass up.
I mean, is he Doctor Strange? Like, Jesus Christ.
Basically, I guess. Like, I don't know. He certainly acted like he's the only one in town because he charged me $5,000 for it.
Fucking Christ on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But, we'll get into that money shit later. I was still just pretty happy to be there, and I was pretty happy that Abe was alive as far as I knew. And, And so as I'm waiting for this eyelid doctor, just like a beat cop comes in and they're like, all right, well, look, we got to ask you some questions. I'm like, cool, they came from my TV. And they're just like, and they're like, oh, is that so? I'm like, it sure is. Have you seen it? It's a big screen. It's very nice. And they're like, oh, yeah, is there nothing else you'd like to put on this statement? I was like, no, I really don't know why else they came. Like, maybe for the other video game system that we had. But, you know, like, yeah, it was probably for the TV. They just couldn't figure it out. And so they sort of were just like, all right, that's great, and left. And then, yeah, they came and stitched me up, and then they came and released me from the hospital. And did tell me that Abe was okay. They're like, your buddy's fine. Come back and see him tomorrow. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm leaving the hospital now. And so my girlfriend, or actually I think she was my ex at the time, but she came and picked me up and took me back to her house, which was right across the street, as I had explained. Everyone fucking was alerted to what was going on because there were like 900 cop cars outside of my house for like the better part of who knows how long. Like,
Jesus.
I think they had probably maybe all just finally like left and everything after questioning Pat forever. Actually, they might have taken him down to the station and then brought him back. I don't remember exactly.
God damn.
Questioning all the neighbors, everyone who would have come out and fucking everything. So yeah, it was like, you know, it was a big deal.
It was a fucking FBI crime scene.
Yeah, it seriously was. And I get back to her place, and there's, you know, people around, and I'm just, you know, I don't know, it's just like super weird. It's like 4:30 in the morning.
Jesus.
Yeah, and we're all just like, holy fuck, what the fuck happened, right? And like, you know, everyone's just like very grateful that we're all okay, and we're just talking, and I'm not at her house for more than like 20-30 minutes, and there's a knock at the door, and it's these two fucking suits. And I knew that like the shitstorm would be coming, right? Like,
well, sure. I mean, like, that beat cop couldn't have been the end of it.
Yeah, there was the impending, like, I'm gonna have to talk to a lot of cops here soon. In fact, I'm kind of amazed I'm not arrested already. You know, but I don't have anything. There's nothing at my house, so, you know, that's hilarious.
Right.
Like, I guess they can pop me for my bong. But,
I mean, you do have some questionable items. I don't know what kind of scale you were rocking. Was it a triple beam? Or
no, I had a Didge. Yeah, I had a Didge and like a bunch of baggies, and but I had no money or weed left.
But you did still have a safe. I mean, like, there's maybe some trappings that are gonna raise some questions.
Oh yeah, there were some things that didn't look good. Yeah, and I certainly had you know, plenty of paraphernalia around, and like, yeah, I think my personal stash was around, so, you know, they could pop me for my quarter or whatever.
Oh, I thought your personal stash was at 3 ounces on the bed.
No, no, dog.
Man, that's a bummer.
Yeah, dude. Again, man, like, I was.
Oh Jesus, no! Like, I forgot what time period we're talking about
dude,
here.
Yeah, I was making.
Well, and hell, let's be real. Like, I don't know. I've never had a personal stash that was 3 ounces, and like,
no, dog.
we certainly don't have that now. So
no, I kept around about a quarter at a time, and then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's gonna go stale before you can smoke it.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Like, fuck.
But yeah, and so fucking a couple suits at the door were like, "Hey, we need to talk to you." I'm like, yeah, I bet you do. All right, let's go.
You're like, who? Oh, no, my name's
right?
Fitzgerald Johnson
right?
Hammer.
Yeah, only a Barnaby Davenport here. Oh, these wounds on my face? I don't know. I must have gotten a barroom brawl earlier.
You're gonna want the guy the next door down.
Yeah. No, I was like, all right, dude, let's just get this over with. But it was hilarious that they didn't even wait, man. Like, I hadn't slept, you know, in a long time. Probably, I mean, not exactly like I was going to sleep anytime soon, but.
Well, I mean, the sooner the better. Like, get it over with, you know, rip the Band-Aid off.
That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I fucking go out there. I'm like, all right, you know, I'm half expecting them to just, like, cuff me and, like, take me in. They're like, all right, let's go over to our car and talk.
They don't have anything to go on, though. I mean, like, they can't arrest you for having a scale and a bong.
Well, right. So, yeah. Well, and so this is the funny thing. So I hop in their, you know, undercover cruiser. Because these dudes are detectives. They're just in, like, suits. You know? They don't have badges and holsters and shit. So
hopefully they're not idiots like the one who tried to fucking bust you.
Oh no, they're not. And to that cop's credit, they didn't try at all. Because once it was clear that I wasn't going to give them anything, they're just like, fine, like this is for someone else anyway. Like I'm just taking the initial report. This is what they told me. Somebody else will come and deal with this.
Fair. Oh no, I'm talking about the detective who tried to bust you for that fucking random shit, like. Apartment complex.
Oh yeah. Well, he wasn't a detective either, man.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he must have. When I went and saw him, he was in a fucking uniform. Though,
oh, okay. So, never mind. For some reason, I thought he was a detective.
No, he was just like in a uniform working a case, I guess. But
Jesus fucking balls, no.
Yeah. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Oh my god.
No, these dudes were detectives.
That guy thought that you were going to make his career, but these guys actually...
He did. A lot of cops thought I was going to make their careers. I did not.
No, these guys were just doing their job.
No, these guys were cool as hell. And honestly, they were very cool to me the entire time.
Well, good, because you were a fucking victim.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ.
You know, look, yeah, totally. It's still weird to think about it like that, because I always blame myself for it because I was doing something illegal, which is real trash thinking for sure.
Seriously, I mean, like, yeah, technically what you were doing was illegal, but it's a fucking plant that grows out of the ground.
Right.
That's
shouldn't have been illegal to start with.
Completely legal in your state now. In that state now.
In that state, in my state, in lots of states.
Like you can grow fucking 7 plants in your backyard in Colorado without any worries.
Right. Yeah, it's so insane to think about this now in context of it just being legal. It's like...
Yeah, who the fuck is going to rob someone at gunpoint for some fucking weed at this point, you know? Like,
I mean...
I'm sure it still happens, but...
It does. And it does because of the federal shit. It happens to weed stores because they have to, like, keep all this cash on hand.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean it's not a perfect system by any stretch, but
anyway, I don't want to get into that necessarily. Yeah, but
fair. Anyway, so these guys were cool.
They were cool. What was I gonna say? I had some point to that of just like you are correct. I was in fact a victim, but it just felt. I just felt so shitty at the time because it's like, God damn it, dude, this is what got me in trouble. And this is what I really wanted to say is like that this was the thing I never accounted for. Like I was always worried about the cops.
Well, right.
And I just like never had on my radar that dudes were gonna fucking rob me at gunpoint for my weed because I didn't feel like big time enough.
Unless you're slanging
because I wasn't
fucking weight.
Yeah.
Like, who expects to get robbed? Like, when you're just selling fucking bags to college kids?
And so this is exactly what they got away with. So I actually had, again, because I had been doing okay with the weed selling and was also working a job, I had actually started to squirrel away a bit of my own money. And so I actually had like a couple $1,000s of my money. And then I had $8,000 of my dealer's money.
Right.
And then the few ounces on my bed, and then literally only a few more ounces in my closet. So they got away with like about a $10,000 score.
Oh, so your money was in the safe too?
My money was in the safe.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
When you earn it through a job, you should put it in the bank.
Well, no, this was the weed earnings.
Oh, you were just doing that good on weed sales.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
So I was like paying all my bills with my job.
Right.
Like all my rent and my bills were just getting paid with my paycheck. And then I was just like squirreling away a fucking nice little cash stash from all the extra weed.
So they got 10 grand? Jesus.
10 grand. A little bit more if you count the weed. You know, I think they ended up with like about 6 or 7 ounces of weed. So it probably shook out to a little more, or close to like 12 grand.
Wow.
Once they sold the weed, you know.
That's a pretty big come up for some fucking stooges.
Sure, but it's also like fucking nothing, dude. I wouldn't fucking armed rob someone for any less than like $100,000. That's insane,
no kidding. That's because you're not an idiot.
Yeah.
But for these guys, like, dude, how much do you think you get from robbing a fucking liquor store? You know what I'm saying? You don't get $10,000 fucking dollars.
No, but
they don't keep more than $1,000 in cash on hand.
Usually, one person robs a liquor store. This is 4 dudes.
I think you're underestimating the stupidity of.
Oh, these dudes are fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And as we will find out. So I'm sitting there. So I sit in the car with these detectives. Yeah, I just hop in the back seat. They take the 2 front seats and just turn around, and they're like, "All right, man. This sort of thing only happens for 2 reasons: weed or like drugs or money. So which one was it?" And and they're just, and I'm like, all right, man, I'm not bullshitting these guys.
No kidding. Like, these guys are.
I even thought about it for a second of being like, no, man, they're after my TV, and they're just gonna be like, all right, fuck you, dude.
Well, no kidding.
So
I mean, they're not trying to bust you. They're trying to bust those guys.
Right. And they did sort of spell that out for me too. And I was like, all right, yeah, it was weed.
Because here's the thing,
I had a lot of weed.
$10,000. That's fucking grand larceny. Like, they're absolutely felons, and so that's gonna look good if these guys can fucking catch them,
and fucking pistol whipping dudes and shooting dudes.
Yeah, and
felonies.
I'm sorry.
Well,
yes, I didn't mean to downplay that. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it was fine. And also it was just like, all right, well, the jig is up. Like, there's nothing left. Like,
well, no shit. That's the thing. Like,
yeah, like,
they can't actually arrest you.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Try and like fade the cops and then start some fucking turf war in Fort Collins, Colorado, and like,
well, and shit, like,
try and get my money back from these fucking dudes?
Seriously.
Like, I'm not a gangster. I'm not a fucking any of this.
And the cops aren't going to get you your money back. And like, I mean, like, don't mean to fucking shortchange anything in your story, but like, you're probably done selling weed, at least the fucking weed from the guys that you were getting it from. So, like, you don't have anything to worry about at this point.
Right, totally, yeah. And so, yeah, it's just like game over, dude. Like, fucking give it all up. So I was like, yeah, it was weed. They stole a bunch of weed from me, and they stole a bunch of money from me. And I'm not really sure how they figured it out that I had all of this on hand, but they did. And they're like, all right. So, like, we're going to need information from you. I was like, cool, I will tell you everything you need to know except for my source. And they're like, you're going to need to tell us that too. And I was like, no, I don't need to tell you that. And sorry, that's where I draw my line. They had nothing to do with it, I guarantee it. And like,
I mean, they've at least got to try. Like, you got to hand it to those guys. Like,
and they constantly tried.
Yeah.
And this was the only time that they became a little dickheadish, was like after they weren't catching these guys, and they're like, okay, well, like, we can't seem to figure out who it is, so it's got to be your source. And I'm like, it's not. It's just fucking not, dude.
How, like, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
There's no reason that your fucking dealer's gonna rob you.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
I mean, maybe in tweaker circles that's the thing that happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm skeptical.
No, and the person who was giving me weed was the person who goes camping and goes to drum circles. Like, this person does not rob people.
Yeah.
And, like, I haven't said it thus far because it's only important for the context of the story, but the dudes who robbed me were 3 black dudes and 1 white dude. And it's...
Let me guess. The white dude was the dude without a bandana.
No.
Damn it, you should cut that out.
I believe he had the bandana, but I could still see his eyes, so...
Well... it's usually the white guy who's hanging out with a bunch of black dudes is the craziest one in the squad.
Yeah,
and that's a racist thing to say, but
yeah,
black comedians will back me up, so I feel justified.
Yeah. No, that dude was the youngest. The white dude was the youngest, I want to say, at 15. The other dudes ranged in age from 16 to 18.
Okay.
They're all very young dudes. And yeah, I only bring this stuff up because it's going to be important for the rest of the story. So
all right.
I just try not to harp on it because it's like, I'm not trying to reinforce stereotypes.
Right.
Because it really sucks to do that. And it sucked for me for so many fucking years.
Absolutely. Well, especially
to like
in a place
work through that trauma and still see like black dudes on the street and like feel this like fear.
Yeah.
And it's like it has nothing to do with their fucking skin color, dude. It's just my own trauma.
And it also has a lot to do with the geographical region you grew up in.
It does.
I mean, I don't know, like...
Sorry, let me rephrase that too. It's not seeing black dudes on the street, it's seeing like thuggy dudes.
Sure.
You know, like it's a certain look and it's like the look that these dudes
Hey
had,
man,
you know?
I get spooked by thuggy white dudes too, you know.
Sure,
so
sure.
It's like just thugs in general are fucking creeps,
Right.
But, like, but yeah, I mean, like, you know, I mean, fucking, we grew up in some really fucking monotone parts of the fucking nation, like,
Right.
there was 2 black kids in my high school,
Right.
you know.
Well, and so that's the thing. They're, yeah, much like good old Bend, Fort Collins was a fucking white town. Just
so
very white, affluent town.
On the one hand, that leads itself to a certain kind of like, you're only racist if you learned it kind of a fucking mentality.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it makes stereotypes that much more inflated. So
Right.
I get it.
Yeah, and so I'm not trying to like reinforce those, even though I've probably felt them throughout the years, and like, and people like propagate those. So I'm trying not to do that here. That's all I'm saying. So that's why I haven't like brought up the race thing, and I'll try not to bring it up much more.
For sure.
It's just fucking assholes that rob me, dude, and that's kind of how I look at it now.
Doesn't matter who, like, what their background was.
Right.
Those people are human pieces of shit.
Totally. And but it'll be relevant also for certain like parts of the story. One of the things of which, yeah, because when I was saying like, dude, these detectives like I'm sure they were doing a bang up job. Like, I don't know how hard that job must be. But they had some fucking wild theories, man. And like, they were not necessarily buying the like 3 black dudes robbed me story.
Oh, God damn it.
Or like 3 black dudes and a white dude robbed me. Kind of like that South Park episode with the some Puerto Rican guy.
Right.
That's kind of what it was. They're like, sure, some Puerto Rican guy just fucking
God damn it.
strolled in here.
You should have made it harder for them so that they had to like pry it out of you and like, no, it's just my TV, bros. Like, and then when you finally break down, you're like, oh, God damn it, we got robbed. You know?
Yeah.
Then maybe they would have bought it, but
Yeah, well, right, totally.
who knows? Fuck those guys.
No, they had like spun up this yarn that Abe and Pat had gotten in a fight, and that I was like defending Pat,
because you were the only ones there when they showed up.
Yeah, and that I shot Abe after he like beat me up or something.
Where's the smoking gun?
I hit it. No, that was one of the ones they spun up because Pat was the only one who wasn't injured. They're like, oh, real convenient for you that like your 2 buddies went to the hospital, but you're fine. So like, and they were like spinning up this whole narrative of like how he had like beat me up and then shot Abe and stuff. They had questioned him for like hours and hours and hours with all this ridiculous stuff.
That's really shitty.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy. But they just like were not buying it until finally like. Because as these detectives had me in the backseat of their car, they had Pat, I think, down at the police station questioning him. Abe's still like coming out of surgery, and so it wasn't going to be for a little while longer until all the stories like lined up and they came back and was like, okay, well, your buddies say the same thing and it's all checking out. Like, yeah, fucking 3 black dudes and a white dude robbed us. Don't know what to tell you. Oh yeah, and we'll catch up with Abe here too. So yeah, and so I go down to go down to the police station, fill out a bunch of shit, man. They fucking fingerprint me, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna come by your house. We're gonna take like everything. Or yeah, that was the thing too. They're like, after all of this, we're gonna go to your house. I want you to point at every single thing that those dudes touched, and we're gonna like evidence all of that stuff. Get a ton of fingerprints. Get a ton of fucking evidence. Around this time, I get word that Abe is, of course, fine. He, what had happened, and I did get to visit him in the hospital the next day, and he was, I think, released that evening. What had happened is the bullet went behind his carotid artery and missed it by millimeters.
Now, when you say behind, are we talking like the bullet was further into the meat of his neck?
Yes.
Holy shit! So it passed between his windpipe and his carotid?
Yeah. I believe I have that correct.
That's insane.
Because it's kind of deep in there, and it actually, like, came out the back of his neck and shot down his shoulder. Like, he's got a scar from, like, the bullet going down his shoulder, and then that bullet continued through our couch and then into our Nintendo 64, which is where the slug laid. Yeah.
You got a bullet time 64?
No, the police have a bullet time 64.
I mean, there's no guarantee that it would have worked after that.
Yeah, I don't know. And
I'm pretty sure, like...
I didn't own it, and whoever did own it, I don't think ever went back for it, so...
I mean, like, the cool thing would have been if it had just made it so you couldn't play Odd Job, but...
Right? Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'm trying to think where to kind of stitch it all together here. Yeah, so, okay, I guess, like... I go in for all the questioning, I go back to my house, and I point at everything, and, they took all sorts of shit, because they had taken they took our wallets out, they took all of our wallets and our IDs, so, like, I didn't have a fucking, I didn't have a wallet or a debit card or an ID for, like, weeks, because they had it in evidence, and I couldn't get it back until, like, the case was closed, so I just, like, couldn't fucking do anything.
That's stupid.
It was real stupid.
They could have lifted the prints and then gave it back to
you. I had to, like, go through all sorts of rigmarole just to get my ID back. I was like, look, guys, I need my ID. Like, I gotta drive around. Like, I gotta go to work and shit. And so they were like, okay, fine, like, we'll get to that and then get you your ID back and stuff. But I had all this other stuff in...
Fort Collins Police.
Yeah, man. Look, yeah, fuck them. I had all this other stuff and evidence that I needed back, but, like, they just wouldn't give back to me and all this stuff. But yeah, this went on for a while, and, like, they carved a chunk out of our couch where the bullet hole went through. So they just literally, like, fucking buzzsawed a square out of the back of our couch and just left the fucking dilapidated ruins of this couch that, like, sunk in on itself after they took the spine out of it.
That's amazing.
Like, thanks for that. Really appreciate that.
Yes.
So me and Pat were still there, but our other roommate just up and moved out. He was like, fuck this. Motherfuckers are getting shot in this house. I'm out. He just, like, came over the next day and, like, packed all his shit and left.
Yeah.
And so we were like, all right, I guess we're all moving out because fuck this indeed.
Well, I mean, yeah. You know, you've got the black mark.
Yeah, it's like, it's over, man. Everything's over. So we, so I had to, like, go and tell my head of corrections landlord that we were all, because we had just re-signed the lease, and I was like, hey, can we unre-sign that lease? And here's why. And he was just like, oh, okay, like, okay, sure.
Wow.
And yeah, let me back out of the fucking lease and stuff, but then...
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So I ended up staying there in that house for another 2 weeks. And while I was staying there, and I was still working at that job that I had, but while I was staying there, the cops were just coming by all the time. And they also weren't obeying my policy, because I asked them very nicely so many times to please call me in advance and make sure I was home. But they, like, were coming by bitching at me and like, yeah, we came by earlier, you weren't here. I was like, yeah, is that my fucking job, you dildos? And, like,
fucking pricks.
Yeah, and then, like, they'd come, like, super early and, like, wake my ass up, and I'd be all grumpy, and they'd be like, you know, you really should have a better attitude about all this stuff. Because they'd just come over to show me, like, lineups and, like, all this stuff, and just talk to me and be like, yeah, we had another question for you about this and that. I'm like, dude. And this was not the detectives. This was, like, these other fucking, like, kind of, like, cops who just did busy work and stuff. The detectives were cool. But they did, like I said, they did get, like, shitty with me at one point when they still hadn't caught these dudes, and they're just like, I just don't think you're telling us the full story. I don't think you're, like, being honest with us and stuff. And I was like, man, I do not know what to tell you, because I spelled everything out for him. I was like, this is how much I got it for, this is how much I sold a week, this is, like, how I ran my business, this is where I kept my shit. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, man. And they laughed at me, too. When I told them that, they were like, 2 pounds? And I was like, yeah, dude, 2 pounds, $10,000. They're like, what? They're like, if we were running Drug Squad, you wouldn't even be on our radar.
Well, no shit.
They're like, we wouldn't even pay attention to you.
You're
If we
like-
heard about you, we wouldn't care.
Yeah, you're like, exactly.
Yeah, totally. I'm like,
Exactly.
yeah, so I don't know why these dudes fucking rob me. Like, clearly other people in this city are fucking dealing more weight than I am. So
Fucking dildos.
yeah, right. And so these dudes just were like, yeah, let's rob this dude for $10,000. So
Well, and that's why, like, anyway, I mean, like, the scariest robbery stories that I know are for the least amount of shit.
Yeah.
Because it's desperate motherfuckers who've never done it before and they don't
Yeah.
know what the fuck they're doing.
it was the first time for these guys. Clearly, they were so young. And yeah, they just like picked somebody. I mean, they picked fucking rightfully so a dude who plays board games on his off night, you know, like yeah, like I wasn't armed, like they knew.
Who knows how calculated that was, but like
Yeah.
I feel like the ones who are like picking the low-hanging fruit are just like, I saw a bunch of weed,
Yeah.
I know where we can get a gun.
Right.
Let's go fucking point it in this guy's face until he gives us what we want. You know,
Right.
like that's just like the lowest level of fucking robbery. You know.
Yeah, which is likely what happened. But I'm sure they pegged this for and like, yeah, being so close to the campus, like, dude, these dudes are just fucking college kid idiots. So, which, in fairness, we were. We should have at least fucking locked our door. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong.
Yeah, man.
But I don't know that we locked our door back in the fucking day.
We
you
made
know?
every wrong move, man. And again, because fucking this was not on my radar. All I was worried about was cops raiding me, man. I was constantly paranoid about the police and getting busted. Never thought like, oh, dudes are gonna come rob me. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm looking at lineups, and like the problem is like they had their faces covered, and like, I don't know, man. Like, all I saw was that gun, man. There were, like, bits of that incident that I remember. And a lot of it was staring at a gun barrel, like, wondering where that gun barrel was going to move to. And and that's the other thing. They also didn't believe me about the gun because it was, the bullet that went through Abe's neck that they recovered was a 9mm. And they're like, they don't make 9mm revolvers. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you because it was a fucking revolver. And they were just like, yeah, well, like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not even a gun. And I was like, okay, but like, that's what it was.
Here's the thing, though. There are 9mm
There are.
revolvers.
There
They're
are.
just rare.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right.
it's not like something that gangs are going around fucking shooting off.
Yeah,
but,
so it was just like this kid's fucking granddaddy's gun that he stole out of his fucking safe or something, like.
or like, you know, some weirdo fucking gun nuts gun, you know.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. The other dude had like a little, like PP7, like James Bond style gun, like a little
Derringer.
Well, like a fucking, just like a little silver fucking.
Okay, no, Derringers are super.
Like a little
small,
like
but,
silver
yeah.
like snub nose sort of pistol, you know.
Yeah, okay, yeah, PP7. Okay,
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
I don't remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
But yeah, and so I was like, dude, and I described those to a T. I was like, dude, I was watching the guns, man. I really wasn't watching these dudes. I was trying not to like fucking worry about it. I can give you heights. Like the dude who fucking hit me was like the tallest of the bunch. Like I can give you a few things, you know, but like I don't know much more than that. And look, here's the thing. This is where the race thing comes up again. So this is kind of how we figured it out. And this, you know, I thought that Jesse dude was cool. As I was talking earlier, I thought that Jesse dude was cool because, again, he was a cousin of a friend of one of my best friends. I had partied with him. He was cool. But he's also the only black dude I knew.
Oh.
And that's how it all came up, because they were questioning me over and over again about all this different stuff and showing me lineups and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, like, here's the thing, like, because, yeah, and also they're like, are you sure, like, it was all black dudes? And I'm like, yeah, dude, it was, and, or, like, 3 black dudes and a white dude. And I was like, the weird thing is, like, I only know one other black dude. And they're like, oh, who's that? And I told him, I was like, but I don't think it's this guy. Like, this dude comes by for dime bags. I know him through a circle of people. It just seems really weird that he would do this. And they're like, okay, well, like, that's a lead. And so they, like, went on that. Oh yeah, this is another thing. Because actually, I did know one other black dude. It was this guy that worked at the 7-Eleven. And I had known him for years because he used to work at a 7-Eleven that I lived next to in a different part of town. Wow. And then he had moved to the one
7-Eleven soulmates.
Dude, right? Got to get those taquitos, man. But he was always cool. Like, and I always loved this dude because he was like a manager and he was just like really friendly. And you know, we'd go in, he'd talk about his kids and his wife and stuff. And so it was just like every time I'd see him, I'd be like, dude, how's your wife? How's the kids? You know, Aww. And he's just this really nice guy.
That's sweet.
And they're showing me lineups. And I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking Steve. And they're like, you know that guy? I was like, well, yeah, he's the manager of the 7-Eleven, man. He has been for years. Well, he's married. He's got 2 kids.
They hauled in the manager of the 7-Eleven?
They didn't haul him in, but they had a mugshot from whatever he did when he was a dumb kid, you know?
Oh, okay.
And I was like, fuck. They're like, you know that guy? I was like, well, yeah, dude, but it ain't him. And they're like, and they like dug down. They're like, tell us everything you know about him. I'm like, dude.
He's got the best taquitos in town.
Yeah, he's the manager of the 7-Eleven. He's got 2 kids. It's fucking...
Oh, dude, like, what do you want to know about his wife? I got...
Yeah, totally. I'm like, it's not him. And they're like, well... I was
she kills it on the mac and cheese.
It is not him. So I doubt they went and questioned him, but I hope they didn't. Yeah, and so... yeah, but they were just still really suspicious of my whole story, and like, I don't know. And then the lineups and the visits kind of started to dry up a little bit, and yeah, just wasn't really sure. They gave me a bunch of paperwork, and they're just like, yeah, dude, like, figure this out. But yeah, that is what the detectives said. They're like, you know, we're not gonna bust you. Like, you paid your dues. Like, you got fucking the shit beat out of you, and your buddy like got shot. So
and you lost $10,000.
Oh yeah, I think I derailed off that. Yeah, so the bullet went behind his carotid artery, missed it by millimeters. The doctors were fucking astounded. They're like, this dude's like the luckiest person ever. Like, nobody gets shot in the neck and fucking lives. Right. And if you hit your carotid artery, like, bleed out is like... It's like 30 seconds or something, dude.
That's the thing. Like, that's why I'm like, how are these EMTs not like fucking just like being like, well, apparently you're not human, so we don't need to worry about you.
Right.
Why don't you teach us how to like save human beings?
Seriously, it was crazy, man. And yeah, and yet another reason that I thought it was the cap gun, because like it went off. And like it hit him, and then like he's holding his neck, but there's like no blood.
Hurts, but yeah, I mean, like, you get shot in the neck, there's always blood.
Right.
Even if you don't get shot in the carotid,
you get shot anywhere. There's almost always blood, but it just went straight through, just like muscle.
It had to be so point blank too, because like the bullet had to be just fucking white hot to like burn a hole.
It did. That. Well, and like I said, it was like 2 black holes in his neck. So yeah, it was point blank because dude hit him from the side, and it went off right there. Anyway, so crazy. And so yeah, and I later found out this is just some of the other aftermath stuff. I later found out that they actually didn't find the forensics people didn't find a single drop of his blood anywhere in the apartment or in the house.
Well, no shit.
But my blood was everywhere. They're like, it was in every room, everywhere.
Yeah, they're like tracking it around. And stuff.
Yeah, because fucking again, like my cheek just like exploded with all these capillaries.
Absolutely. I mean, you still have a scar there. And like there's one of the most concentrated musculatures of the face right there.
Yep. Yeah, and I still have a scar on my eyelid too, which sucks because you know how scar tissue
Close your eye. No, look into the light. Into the light.
Yeah.
Look at the light. Now close your eye.
Close your eye.
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Cool. Yeah. But yeah, you know how scar tissue like swells from time to time, especially if you like irritated or whatever.
Do I ever? Yeah.
Yeah. So this will swell, and then it just feels like I have like a giant piece of sand in my eye, and just is.
That sounds great.
Yeah. It happens.
Sounds like what you want.
It happens regularly. It's awesome.
Is it like with the weather or?
No, it seems like when I irritate my eye, and so this is the worst thing is like if I get totally like blinded while night driving, it'll like dilate my eye like super fast, like someone just like hits me with brights or whatever. That'll like irritate my eye, and then that's usually when it happens.
So your weakness is bright light.
Yeah, dude.
Got it.
It's not even a weakness. It's just like an irritation. It's like, yeah, if you want me to feel like I have a piece of sand in my eye for the next like hour and a half, hit me with some bright light, dude.
All right. Well, it's not your fatal flaw.
No, it is fucking irritating though. I'll tell you. For the $5,000 I never paid, they should have done a better job. I don't know, dude.
Oh yeah, your eyelid and my gallbladder have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Other aftermath stuff. So people may be wondering, how did I fare with my dealer? Well, I called them up.
Yeah.
The next day. After I did all my initial round of like police interviews,
So you
and
talk
stuff,
to the cops, and then it's time to come clean to the other side.
Yep, totally. And so I had a friend drive me to a grocery store, and I called them on a payphone.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I mean, it probably would have been fine.
No, it would not have been.
Yeah, surely they had my cell phone tapped, but yeah. But I probably could have used one of my friend's cell phones.
It doesn't matter if they have it tapped, like, they just look at your records, you know? So, like, you know, the first
Actually, I didn't even have my cell phone. They had my cell phone.
There you go.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm just saying, like, it's good protocol.
Yeah. And I think... Yeah, because they had my cell phone, and I must have had all the wherewithal to delete all my, like, texts. I still had all my contacts, because they were, like, scrolling through my... I remember sitting during an interview, and they were, like, scrolling through my contacts, and they're like, what about this person? I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. And they're like, what about this person? Oh, that's so-and-so. It's weird. But, yeah, anyway, I called up my dealer, and... was like, yeah, you might not recognize this number because I'm calling you from a payphone. Will you come meet me at this parking lot? They were like, okay. They came, and I went and hopped in their car, and they saw me with the stitches in my face. Like, I mean, I'm fucked up at this point. Like,
right.
My whole, like, face is bruised as shit, too, and I've got the stitches everywhere, and they're like, whoa, what happened to you? I'm like, yeah, well, got robbed. This happened. Buddy got shot. He's fine. I don't have your money. Never gonna have it. So, bye forever. And they're like, yeah, see ya. Don't ever call me. Don't ever contact me. I was like, I won't. And, and I was like, I didn't tell the cops anything about you. And they're like, cool. I hope that's true. And I was like, it is, but yeah, bye. And, like, that was that.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you do, you know?
Yeah. I actually ran into that person who had set me up with that other person at a show, like, 9 months later. And they were like, dude, crazy seeing you out. And I was like, yeah, you know, like, crazy seeing you too. And I was like, what have you been up to? And he's like, trying to stay away from you. I was like, yeah, that's fair, man. That's fair. Nobody knows what I did or didn't say to anyone. So, like, yeah, sorry.
Fucking A, man. I mean, that's how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Loose lips sink ships.
So yeah, for sure.
All about damage control.
For sure. So, eventually... couple weeks, about 2 weeks after the incident, after the robbery, they caught everyone.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
So it turns out, and I might have this a little wrong, it was either the youngest kid in the group of four that robbed us or the driver, because there was now a sixth person involved in this. So
it's always the sixth motherfucker.
It was the Jesse dude who, like, was coming over and buying dime bags.
Oh, so he was the driver?
No, he was the dude who set it all up. He was the one who, like, recruited these people and was like, we're robbing this dude. And then there was a driver, and then the four people who actually rolled in my house. So 6 total people.
Okay.
For $10,000, which is why it's starting to sound real bad, right?
God, that's so lame.
Yeah, not even $2,000 a person, dude. Now you're liquor store robbery. Like, fucking lame.
If that.
Yeah. So, anywho, but it was either the driver, who was also very young, like 16 or 15, and then, or it was one of the other people, but they caught up with someone. And
well, God, and with that many people on the job, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fucking crack the case, you know?
Well, right. And I think once they started investigating Jesse, like, and they found out, like, who he rolled with, they just started kind of, like, nabbing people, and they nabbed someone, and then they just sang and just like gave up everyone because they were young.
Well, right, like somebody did something stupid, they popped them, and then they're like, "Yo, you fit this description of this crime."
Yeah.
Like, if you don't give us the rest of everybody else, then you're just going to be the only one who fucking runs for that. And
Right.
they're like, "Oh shit, no, it was all
Right.
these motherfuckers," you know?
Right, and so I don't think Jesse had left town. I think he was still around, but they popped him, and then they popped the other 4 at the train station in Denver with a stack of cash and a black 9mm revolver.
Shut up!
Yeah. So
It's the unicorn of guns.
yeah, totally. And so they like apologized to me because when they called me up.
Stop. The police apologized to you for believing that the gun that broke your face was
Yeah.
fictional?
Yeah, like more or less.
I think you deserve an award.
More or less, they kind of apologized for everything because when they finally arrested everyone, they called me and they're like, "Look, everyone's been arrested. We have all this paperwork for you with all of their names, court hearings that you are like able to attend.
Oh, you got to go ride jockey on the fucking...
You can
like,
write
arraignments?
a victim impact statement." This, that, and the other, right? I didn't do any of it because I didn't want anything to do with anything.
Well, no shit.
Like,
You show up in court and like you're blacklisted.
right. Well, it's just like I just wanted this chapter of my life to be over. I was like, great, you busted him. Like, honestly, I almost didn't even care if they busted him or didn't. I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm done dealing weed. I'm alive. My buddy's alive. Like, I just want everything to be over. I just want to move on with my fucking life. These
That's
dudes aren't
fair.
coming back for me. I just don't
fair.
even care. Like, I want it all to be over. Which is also why I didn't apply for victims' compensation, which would have covered, like, most of my hospital bills, but I just didn't do anything. I just didn't want to do anything, like, surrounding this fucking thing. So...
I mean, okay.
Yeah, look, I was just... I don't know, man. It was a weird, tough time.
I feel like if like you're out of the weed game, it's time to like just fucking double down on this shit. But you know, that's where I'm at now. It's, you know,
I didn't also understand how awful it was going to be. Like, they gave me paperwork to file for victims comp. They're like, yeah, you're going to want to do this and that. I was like, whatever, I don't care. Like, I just want it all to be over. I just don't want to think about this at all anymore. And that's pretty much how I played it until like things kept making me think about it. But they did let me know. So I still have the files on all these dudes. Like, I still have all their names and shit. And yeah, and then they all got sentenced. They all pled guilty. They all got sentenced. I think the dude who hit me and who shot Abe got like 6 years or something like that for aggravated assault.
fuck, that's more than some murderers get.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, and then the rest of them all got varying degrees of a year or two, I think. So yeah,
Jesus, fuck,
and varying
dude.
degrees of juvie and real jail.
Well,
so.
right, because like some of them were underage.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, so that's like pretty much the long and the short of it. Oh yeah, there was one moment that, so after I had already talked to the detectives, but it was like the next day, and Abe had got out of the hospital, and we're all over at my girlfriend's house across the street, and I think, you know, we're all like having a beer and just sort of like celebrating not being dead, and fucking my buddy Nick comes over. My buddy comes over, who I won't mention his name because I have no idea if he's legitimate or not, but he is Italian, and we called him as much, and not the nice version.
Oh no!
Yeah, because look, we're in our 20s.
Well, and you're living in a white bread part of the country
Yep.
where you get to get away with a lot of fucking slurs that you
He
can get away
embraced
with
it. He
elsewhere.
embraced it too. But yeah, dude, like I have no idea if this is real or not, but he comes up to me. He comes over to this thing and he's like, "Yeah, dude, like." Well, because, like, we had pretty much figured out on our own, like, who it was. We were like, okay, well, like, it's probably these fucking dudes, right? And they probably know Jesse, although I still was kind of like, I wonder if Jesse's involved, but, like, we started kind of pinning down who it was, and the guy on the couch definitely knew these guys.
Okay.
And so, like, that's kind of how it all came
So
to
the
be.
weakest link was the guy on the couch.
Absolutely, man. And again, he had started bringing in this new clientele, and some of them were...
And your
shadier.
Your filter wasn't maybe as robust as it needed to be for new clientele.
It was. I just wasn't acting fast enough. Because like I told you, I was pretty much planning on getting out of the game, like, real soon.
Well, I'm talking about, like, when Jesse showed up for a 10 sack, you didn't just be like, get the fuck out of my house.
No. That filter. Those alarm bells did not ring at all.
I'm just saying, like, I never sold a bag that was shorter than 20 to anybody that I didn't call a friend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you're my friend's cousin or my friend's friend's cousin, or
Right,
whatever the
right.
fuck he was. Like,
And that's what he was, but...
like, get the fuck out of my house unless you're here to fucking do business.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know why I, like, didn't...
I'm not trying to, like, cast aspersions. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
I know.
Your filter was not as robust as it needed to be.
It was not. It certainly was not. And my alarm didn't even go off that night. Like, I did not... I mean, maybe, like, a twinge. Like, a slight spider tingle. But, like, you know, fucking...
Hey, man, nobody expects to get robbed. That's why burglars are successful.
Yeah, right? Totally. Yeah, so... Oh, yeah, so my buddy, the Italian... He comes over and he's like, hey man, I got 3 dudes on a plane, like, or I think they weren't on the plane, but he's like, I got 3 dudes heading to the airport right now. They're gonna be here in like 2 days.
Oh my
god! Like, we're gonna deal with this. And I was like, no, dude, I've already talked to cops. Cops are involved. Like, this can't happen, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, it doesn't matter how much you admire his moxie. Like,
yeah,
that's just gonna bring heat on everyone.
Well, and I was so angry at the time. I was like, that'd be great. Fucking kill these guys. I don't care. I mean, now I'm like much, you know, a lot of time has passed. I'm like, I don't want these guys to die. But
sure, whatever.
But at the time, I certainly did. I was like, fuck these guys. But also, like, I've talked to cops, like, and we're in this white town, and, like, I told cops that 3 black dudes robbed me, and if 3 black dudes turn up dead, like, that's gonna be pretty fucking obvious, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, yeah, call off your fucking...
Goons,
your mafia fucking relatives, if it's even true at all, which I kind of think maybe it wasn't, but
I'm gonna suggest that it's not.
It was a hilarious moment where I was just like, my god, man.
I mean, if you're actual mafioso, are you gonna get on a plane to go help your fucking idiot cousin's, like, shitty weed dealer hippie friend? Like,
right?
No,
probably
literally
not.
No,
probably not.
There's no over under in that for you.
Family, I don't know.
I mean,
family favors. Omerta or something. I don't know.
That kid's got to be some capo's son for that shit to happen. You know?
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. Probably not. Anyway, that was kind of a funny thing that happened.
But I love it. I love that you had some Goombas about to get on a plane to break some legs.
Yeah. I had to, like, call off a hit, you know? That's what I like to say. Yeah. Anyhow, man. That's kind of the long and the short of it. The money thing, it ended up being about $11,000 for everything, for the hospital ride, the eye doctor, the eye stitches, the hospital stitches, like just the regular stitches at the hospital.
Shit, so at the end of the day, you're like 20,000 and change in the hole? Like,
yeah.
Me
I mean,
sideways.
you know, I never had to repay 10 of that. Well, I lost 2 of my own. Didn't have to repay 10 of it.
Like, here's the and I'm like, how much of your hospital bills actually got paid too? You know? Like,
oh, none, zero,
exactly.
Actual zero, except the amount that got garnished from me when I moved out here.
Fuck.
Yeah. I got served papers for some of the bills. I don't even remember. Someone was going to sue me. I think it was that eye doctor. Because that was the biggest bill. It was like, ambulance was like $3,000.
Right,
the hospital stay was like $2,000. The specialist was like $5,000.
The hospital will just write that shit off. But
yeah, and then, like, you know, there's another, like,
and specialists, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They did maybe it was an MRI. They did something because they were like, you got clocked in the head pretty good. And I was like, yeah, like I probably maybe have a concussion or whatever.
Roll you into a machine that scanned you?
See, I want to...
Did it sound like it was doing the most...
It wasn't an MRI, but they did something. Maybe it was, because they charged me a shit ton for some procedure.
You would remember an MRI, that's all I'm saying.
See,
it's the most intense fucking electronic music you've ever heard. Like,
okay, it wasn't an MRI, but they did some other head scan that was like... Maybe it was just a CAT scan or something.
The CAT scan's even more involved. It's probably
Really?
an X-ray. Yeah.
Okay, must have just been. Yeah, it was something else like that. But yeah, never paid any of it. But I did get fucking. Yeah, I got served. And this was such a hilarious moment, too. Like, because I went to the court date. I was like, all right, that's fine. This is going to be hilarious. And, or maybe it wasn't even the court date, but it was like I had to go meet with one of their lawyers. And I just like, you know what? I think it was the court date because, and then I didn't even go into the courtroom. I sat outside on a bench and their lawyer came out and talked to me and they're like, do you understand like why you're here and all this stuff? I'm like, yeah, totally. And they're like, okay, well, like, this is like what's gonna happen and this is what the judge is gonna tell you. And I was like, no, what's gonna happen is the judge is gonna ask if I have any assets, of which I have none. He's gonna ask if I can make payments, of which I can't, and then basically explain to you that you can't fucking get blood out of a turnip. And she just like looked at me but like knew I was fucking right, dude, and was just like, okay, well, they're gonna rule against you, and then like all of this is gonna happen to you. I was like, no, it's not, is the thing.
No shit.
So are we good? And she was just like, okay, like I guess you don't need to be here. And I was like, cool, then I won't be. And I left. And then yeah, nothing did happen except when I moved out here, when I started working for Best Buy, I started getting garnished, but I think that's because Best Buy like sold my information.
Well, yeah, because they're corporate as fuck. Yeah,
totally. And I started getting garnished, and it was hilarious because like it was like they could only garnish me after a certain amount of wages earned, and Portland was actually cheap to live in at the time, and we had roommates, and so I was like, don't ever schedule me more than 24 hours a week because anything over that is just going to get garnished. So I only want to work 24 hours a week. And so I worked the bare minimum so the garnishment got 0.
Nice.
And a couple times I had to work like an extra shift, and so they got like, I think they got like $156 total for me. And then it has all gone away since then.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's been definitely long enough now.
Well, and here's the thing,
yeah.
like the fucked up thing about all that is that the hospital that did the work never saw a dime of that.
No.
They wrote it off, and then they sold the debt to a debt collection company.
Who then resold it, and then resold it.
Exactly.
As many times as they could until there was nothing left for anyone.
Until it got sold to a fucking law firm, and they were like, okay, cool, garnishment.
Yeah, totally. And then gave up because they're like,
yeah.
Oh.
It cost them more to fucking go to court for that shit than it did to actually get money out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the... That's the whole of... Yeah, I feel like maybe there's a couple little things I'm missing.
Well, I mean, do you know anything about what happened to the guys who eventually got arrested? Like, I mean, I know you said that some of them went to juvie and that, you know...
I have never pursued it at all. I have no idea.
All right.
I honestly hope the best for them. I hope they, like, got corrected or got rehabilitated or figured their shit out and, like...
Well, it's very egalitarian of you.
Yeah, man.
I don't share the same viewpoint.
I'm not gonna lie that I'm not gonna say that I don't fall asleep to like fantasies of like weird torture fantasies of like what I would do to these motherfuckers because they're like the people who have like caused me the most trauma and like
yeah, man. I mean, like you get to wish those people ill. I'm just saying.
Totally. But actually, like. It's not worth it, man, to fucking worry about that shit.
That's fair.
I hope they do well. I hope they do well for just everyone else's sake. I hope they learn to be good people and like not rob more people once they got out of jail because I don't want more people to get robbed. It's not a fun fucking experience, man.
No, it's horrible.
Yeah, and getting assaulted is not fun.
No, man.
And
being a victim of any kind is not fun.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it's violent crime.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, it's fucked up for sure. And it's been a long time since it happened, so I'm, in a pretty good place about it. But sometimes I still get, like, weird fucking feelings about it and weird moods about it. And I really do... mostly, like I was saying earlier, the thing I hate the most about all of it is the damn programming it put into my head of how I feel about certain people. Like, and again, yeah, it's not skin color, it's how people wear their pants and how people talk and how people act and stuff. And I'm like, this motherfucker robs people, and I don't know that, and I make assumptions and judgments on people and get fucking weirded out around certain people, and like, I shouldn't. And I hate that they've ingrained this like judgmental fear in me that sticks around to this day, where I see people on the bus or on the street and I'm like, you know,
fair, man.
Get this twinge of fucking like freaked out or whatever. And that's bullshit, man, because I want to be cool with everyone. I want to at least like first be cool with everyone, and then once you know, let's go from there.
I feel you. I mean, dude, victimization sucks. Like,
yeah,
it's gonna be with you for the rest of your life. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
yep,
that's the way that shit works, you know?
Yep.
It's good that you're trying to work through it and that you're not holding it against anyone, and that, you know, you recognize what it's doing to you without holding on to it.
For sure.
That's healthy.
And it took me a while to work through it too, because I didn't feel like I deserved to work through it, because like my buddy was the one who like really got the fucking end of it, dude. Like, I mean, he really almost died. You know?
Absolutely.
I got beat up pretty good, but like that dude got a bullet through the neck, man. That's fucking crazy. And I really like, I don't even know if I've fully forgiven myself to this day, because like I know it's not my fault. It's
not.
Logically,
It is
if I
not.
sit and think about it. But I invited him over that night. I was the one dealing weed. Like, if I hadn't done all these things, I wouldn't have put him in that position, you know? And that's like how we reason through this stuff. So it's like, I know that it's not my fault,
Dude,
but
like the worst thing you're guilty of is being a nice person. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
But it does bear the question, and I feel like this is something that everyone's been wondering. Did you guys ever fucking finish that game of Catan or what?
fuck no, man. I don't even know if we recovered all the pieces, dude. They probably took tiles with blood on them.
I mean, most of it's covered in your blood.
Probably, man.
You know.
Yeah. I did get my file cabinet back. That was like the only thing I got back from evidence. It was my file cabinet and my wallet and my ID.
Damn.
Yeah. But I still have that file cabinet. Still got bits of evidence tape on it.
Rad.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know if there's a whole lot more to the story at large. Yeah, it's just this is why drugs should be legal, man, honestly.
No, and you're absolutely right. This is the number one reason that drugs should be legal, is to remove all criminal activity from their sale and distribution.
Yep.
Because the second that you can't make a bunch of money off of selling and or stealing drugs,
Yeah.
no one's going to hurt anyone else over it.
Seriously.
And especially for the kind of stuff that we trafficked in, which is completely safe, harmless shit like psychedelics and weed.
Yeah.
There's no reason that shit should be on the same level as Schedule 1 drugs like heroin and cocaine and
Agreed.
fucking meth, you know?
Agreed.
Like, these are all things that have been shown to have therapeutic uses. And
Yeah, and like let's start there, but I am even still down with making these other things actually controlled substances. Like, it takes power away from the cartels. It takes power away from, you know, at that one very high end of things.
Let's slow down for a minute. What do you mean by controlled substances? Because that's technically what they are.
I know, but like they don't have any control over them, right? Like, no government regulation, no control over them.
Oh, so what you're saying is make them legal controlled substances.
Yeah, totally.
Got
Actually
it.
gain some control over these substances.
Okay.
I don't know why they call them controlled substances.
That's why it's so confusing, is because like
exactly.
Schedule 1 controlled substances are what we're talking about.
Right, totally.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you know, Colorado's made a step in the right direction with, you know, making mushrooms available for research purposes, but
Same with Oakland.
But I mean, like, even, I mean, and this idea is not going to be very popular, but like, even down to the hard drugs, like making it so that they are controlled substances that are available in controlled amounts, so that like you're not fucking strung out on methadone, which is measurably more harmful than actual opiates.
Yeah,
As well as, you know, like all the other shit. Like,
and if you think that that's not a popular opinion, then like you should really check some research and see what we could do with actually like getting a handle on these substances, putting some of the money that we make off of taxing them and controlling them into rehab instead of just jailing people.
Yeah, the Netherlands has made great strides in this direction, as well as other countries that have made all substances. It's not. What's the word? It's decriminalized. They've decriminalized all drugs, so that you won't get put into the criminal system for being a drug user. And they're taking all of the money that was put into enforcement into rehabilitation, so the people who actually have problems with drugs aren't turned into career criminals. They're just folks with a medical problem that's easily solved with state funds.
Right. Exactly.
That's huge. It's fucking huge.
Then you also get to like start curbing all these fentanyl deaths and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
Now people actually know what they're getting into.
Absolutely.
If someone's looking for heroin, they know they can just get heroin and not a bunch of fentanyl and fucking kill themselves.
Because it's so much more dangerous.
It's
my God.
And it's gotten so dangerous in the last few years.
Right.
So.
I mean, like, fucking Christ, man. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like the heroin problem is, I mean, the opiate crisis is like much bigger than us. Like, I'm not trying to get into that today, but like, it's a huge issue, and like the illegality of it all is part of what's driving it, and I would love to see that change. I mean, like prescriptions, etc. Like that's a whole other fucking ball of wax, but like, God damn it, if our money was going into rehabilitation instead of drug enforcement, then we wouldn't have all of these people who are like just kind of collateral criminals because of what they were prescribed at some point. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's a huge soapbox that we can fucking get on for forever.
Clearly.
And I probably will continue to do so, but it really rings true for this story. Cause, like,
absolutely.
God damn it, man.
Well, and fuck, dude. I mean, like, this is our wheelhouse. We're fucking coming down. Like, we're here to talk about fucking drugs and getting off of them. So, like, you know, we get to harp a little bit about this shit. And, I'm glad that you did not end up in that fucking system, and that like you didn't get fucking murdered by idiots with guns who wanted to fucking rip somebody off for a little bit of
seriously,
weed,
man. That's the thing, man. You called it all episode. Like, these dudes are just such fucking morons.
Amateurs.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Like, at least learn how to fucking steal from someone who knows how to do it first. For fuck's sake.
Seriously.
I mean, if you've ever seen a movie, you fucking know how to pistol whip someone.
Well, fucking...
Fuck's sake.
Fucking trigger control, dude.
So
that is... Okay, so, and, like, I guess I should spell this out if it weren't abundantly clear. That dude did not mean to shoot Abe, obviously.
Right.
Things would have gone very differently if he hadn't. Because if he hadn't, I might not have called the cops.
Right.
I might have driven my ass to the hospital and said I got jumped. And then I get stitches. And then my boy on the couch and his fucking Italian buddy, like, with or without actual goons, like, start rounding up a posse. And then, like, I don't know what happens. Maybe way worse things. Probably way worse things.
I'm not attempting to incriminate anyone, but I have been associated with folks who know about those kind of things. And I'll tell you what, redneck retribution is not something that anyone wants in any community.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, probably everyone except for Abe got super lucky by that happening, because there could have been a lot more violence if it hadn't just sort of started and stopped there.
Right.
You know?
You're absolutely right.
So it's really weird to think about that. Of just like, what could have happened if things had gone slightly differently?
Yeah.
If things had gone to plan for those dudes, because that was clearly an accident, and they were clearly morons.
Yeah, I mean that's and like it's like we've been saying the whole time. That's where the risk really comes in. Is people who don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yep.
Who are trying to do some dangerous shit.
Right.
And have no fucking trigger control. My God.
Yeah, if you're gonna pistol whip someone, take your finger off the trigger.
I mean, no. Like, a PSA to all of our listeners: You never put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot it.
Right.
That is the only time your finger is on the trigger is when you're shooting the gun.
Yep.
If your finger's on the trigger at any other time, you are likely to shoot yourself or something else that you don't want to shoot. Possibly another person.
Right.
But my fucking God. It's like lesson number 1 in gun safety.
Yeah.
Apart from always keep the safety on.
Well, like, God, I'm glad, you know. Yeah, I don't know if dude had his finger on the trigger when he was, like, hack slashing, like, down forward onto my fucking face. But, like, Jesus, dude.
That's the thing. There might be an alternate timeline out there where you just have a fucking gaping chasm in your skull.
Yeah, seriously.
And, like, apes covered in your brains, you know?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, it's fucking gnarly, dude. But, yeah. So yeah, dear listener, this is the one I've been waiting for a while to tell, because yeah, this is sort of the end. This is an end of an era for sure, man.
Fucking A, man. I mean, like, that's the kind of shit that ends golden ages.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was the end of dealing drugs. That was the end of a lot of shit for me. That was when it was time to, like, reconfigure my life.
Yeah, harsh reality has set in.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah, the harshest of realities.
Fuck, man. Well, I'm glad that you're okay.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I'm glad that all of your friends survived.
Yeah.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, not much more to say on it. It's just, yeah, it's fucked. It's fucked, but yeah, we're all here now.